Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive explodes into Christmas with 12 featured superstar guests. We can't bring you a live wrestling event due to COVID restrictions, but we'll be bringing you a series of cyber signings and meet and greets. On Saturday, December the 5th, fans around the corner and around the world can get nasty with former WWE and WCW Tag Team Champions Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags, the Nasty Boys, joining us for a live cyber autograph signing here in MWF Studios. Get a personalized autograph from the Nasty Boys, signed to you live on the air and mailed to your home. Join us now through mid-December as superstars help us continue our annual mission to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this Christmas, put smiles on faces while honoring Paul Bearer's memory. VIP packages are still available. Don't worry, if you missed a live superstar signing, every star is signing enough photos while they're here in Boston to fill VIP packages through December the 19th. Whether for your wrestling collection or to give as a holiday gift, if you're going to take part in any toy drive this year, please help our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Visit BostonWrestling.com and our social media platforms for complete event and toy drive information.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matt Degnan.
I'm Dave Carter.
We're going to be doing a watch along for the Survivor Series 1987 show. I believe this is our second one. We did the Bad Blood one earlier last month. What do you think about us doing another watch along? That you're first joining us.
First one on this style, and I'm very excited. It's fun to go back and watch like the older stuff. I think the 87 Survivor Series. There you go, good wrestling. I think it's going to be fun because I haven't seen this in years. I have seen it before, but I haven't seen it in a while, so it'll be fun to watch the Survivor Series, and it's, with somebody that has a lot of knowledge about it too. That's what's fun.
I can add a lot more insight to this than the 2020 shows.
So to me, it's going to be fun.
All right, so folks at home, I'm off camera. I'm going to be on camera in a minute. As usual, I get all the grunt work, and all of my regulars, all of the wonderful fans that join our premieres know I get stuck with the grunt and the SHIT work. But get on WWE Network. I think you go under the WWE pay-per-view section, and you look for Survivor Series.
1987.
No shit, really.
Well, you didn't mention the year. I'm just reminding people.
I'm trying to break it down for those that maybe need a little hand, like I did when I was looking for it.
Well, you took a little pause.
I did take a little pause, yeah. A little pause. All right, wrestling fans, once you find the WWE pay-per-view section, click that Survivor Series, scroll all the way down to the last one. We are going to watch the very first Survivor Series, which was actually just the second pay-per-view, regular, consistent pay-per-view in WWF history. All right, so if you need to hit the pause button on the YouTube video, why don't you do that now to catch up what you're doing? Log into WWE Network, go into WWE pay-per-view, pick Survivor Series, then scroll all the way down to 1987. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, click. When I say click, you hit click, and we'll all watch together. We're going to go back in time to the Richfield Coliseum. It's available in 2 languages. I'm not sure what the other language is, but it's not one I speak. So it's a good thing we got Dave with us. He's multilingual. Just ask all his friends on the apps. All right. Boy. So we're going to start Survivor Series 87 in 3, 2, 1, click. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at that.
The Richfield Coliseum.
I love it. The old WWF symbol. I love it.
That's the best one they've had.
Look at just the fan. When you look at back and you look at all the fans and everything in the crowd, it's just so different.
You know what you don't see is everyone on their phone trying to take videos of every little thing. People live in the moment.
That too,
back then.
and it's right before the big sign era. You know what I mean? It's just fans excited, like they're clapping, standing up, excited. It's fun to go back to
everyone's wearing
this.
merchandise.
Yes.
I am disguised as a yellow pillow. That is me on set right now.
It's a different form.
Oh, look at this. Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon coming out. Oh, my God. Look at this.
Body. Here comes another body.
The body.
I love it. Did you like Jesse Ventura's landish outfits like that?
They're pretty cool. Interesting, I guess you could say.
Yes.
We can't go too loud.
Looks like he got dressed in the dark.
Jesse almost looks like Quincy Rustani there, dressed as a pilgrim.
With the smaller coat, though.
What do you think of his outfits? Did you like those?
Yeah, I think it added a lot of color to the color commentator. And if you notice one thing, fans, if you see a lot of those light bulb flashes going off right now that are in the same spot, those were actually on the lighting rig to make it look like just a few more photos were being taken than really were. Wink,
Really?
wink.
See,
That
that's
is a
what
fact.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's insight that he's given me. I love it. That's awesome.
Now, I remember being so excited to find out that this event was happening. It just started as a tease on the WWE syndicated shows that would say, Thanksgiving night, the first ever Survivor Series, teams of 5 strive to survive. And I remember saying to my father, if this event is in Boston, we have to go Thanksgiving night. And he said, absolutely not. He would not take me to anything that was not on a Saturday wrestling-wise. So I'm almost glad Survivor Series 87 didn't happen in Boston. But let me tell you, his balls would have been broken severely if Survivor Series was in Boston and I had a chance to go. A couple of Bozarks ready for a big night of wrestling in Richfield.
One sign.
Everybody's waiting for it.
Yeah.
They're anticipating.
And what a night of professional wrestling history this was. I don't know if you two gentlemen are familiar with it, but the reason why Survivor Series 87 was created was to crush NWA Starrcade 87. That was going to be the first pay-per-view that NWA ever offered. It was NWA thought, Jim Crockett Promotions thought it'd be a chance to really put them in the game financially on pay-per-view. And then WWF, coming off of the monster success that was WrestleMania 3, said, well, you know what? We're going to have a pay-per-view too. So then the pay-per-view companies got excited. They said, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll have Starrcade at 4 o'clock and we'll have WWF at 8 o'clock. And everybody was excited about that. And WWF said, no. If you decide to carry Starrcade, we won't let you carry WrestleMania 4.
Right. I only know that because of another pod, something else I listened to talked about all that. So it's crazy how that worked out.
I believe there were only 5 cable companies in the country that chose to carry Starrcade over Survivor Series. And believe it or not, Vince let all 5 carry WrestleMania 4. So that didn't hold much weight to it. And it really hurt the NWA. It really hurt the NWA. We're planning on doing this watch-along on Thanksgiving Eve.
One thing, look at this.
All right.
Actual rules. Like, they actually tell you how this works. They don't do that anymore. Like, look at ways of an elimination.
I think
it's
maybe
nice.
because it was the first.
But still, at least they tell you, because look at us last night with,
Usually the announcer will announce it before the match.
Look
Right.
at
Like in the
number
ring.
3, the one that's my point of contention. Count out.
Yeah.
Nowadays, on a wrestling TV show in WWE, if they go out of the ring, they go to a commercial break. And the matches are going to end during a commercial break.
That is true. I never thought about that. Wow, look at this.
But this was really, it was an exciting night. I mean, to think of what NWA could have done if they ran Starrcade unopposed, it makes you think.
Look at this.
And then you think about what a great angle that was on Saturday night's main event. Honky Tonk Man is one of the most underrated heels of all time as far as, was he a great in-ring technician? Absolutely not. But I mean, he drew great with every babyface that he worked programs with for that Intercontinental title.
Yep.
He had a great feud with Jake before he even got the belt. Macho Man, that feud was on fire. The Boston Garden was on fire when Macho Man and Honky worked after that Saturday night main event angle. He drew really good with Beefcake, who wasn't exactly a main event guy. His return matches with Warrior after he finally dropped the title were fair. I mean, Honky Tonk Man, as far as WWF history goes, is one of the more underrated stars. He drew big business during an era that drew big.
You don't see people with charisma like that nowadays.
No, you don't. But back, I'm going to continue to, and look, Holly Race, a man that's been here in this very studio, in your seat, Mr. Degnan. Bobby Heenan, a member of the MWF alumni before you joined us, Mr.
And look
Carter.
how crazy it is. No entrance, no big thing. It was just literally they came out of a back, the back and nothing like that. It's just, wrestling could still be like that too, and I think it would be fine.
Well, they'd have to reinvent the wheel, but I think it could be done too.
And the thing that's interesting is the ramp isn't straight on with the ring. It's kind of off to the side.
Yeah, I love this, more.
A lot of their TV shows were like that back then. If you watch the syndicated shows, Superstars and Challenge, it wasn't just a straight line. It was.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, it's interesting just to bring it up now. But I know even WrestleMania.
Ron Bass.
I know which one they did it for a while.
I like the more
7 was off to the side.
I like the intimate setting too they have
Yeah.
with the lights down, and I think it's so much. This is a nice way to have it, a nice way to present it, at least I should say.
The one that I like is when they go to the garden.
And they never do that view anymore, over the ring like that, ever. They never do that view anymore. That's kind of a cool, I like that.
The one that I like that they do,
There he is.
I'll relate it back to Rumble 2008, is when they go to Madison Square Garden and they have that little entrance in the side with the doors that open up.
Yep.
I like when they do that at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, when they redid MSG, they ruined that by taking away the old entranceway, the small one. Now everyone has to go the long way. But those are modern venues in 2020, I guess. But back to the pay-per-view shenanigans that went on. NWA wanted to try again in January. They said, well, we're going to have the Bunkhouse Stampede in January 1988. Mm-hmm. Well, what did WWF say to that? What was created in January 1988, not on pay-per-view, but on free, at least on cable television on the USA Network.
Royal Rumble, right?
The first Royal Rumble. That wasn't even on pay-per-view. Yep.
Look at it, Duggan.
I tell you, this feud between Jim Duggan and Holly Race drew very well at the live events.
Macho Man.
But in the end, did the NWA get their revenge after WWF sabotaged Starrcade 87 and the Bunkhouse Stampede in January 88? Look at what happened the afternoon of WrestleMania 4. One of the big days in WWF history, NWA ran Clash of the Champions free on TBS. What kind of business would WrestleMania 4 and then later WrestleMania 5 the next year have done if the NWA didn't have a free 3-hour extravaganza on TBS? So the sabotage went both ways, mainly WWF, but I don't think it really helped anybody, that's for sure. It certainly killed Jim Crockett Promotions, because once the NWA didn't have the income they were planning on from these pay-per-views, they couldn't afford the big contracts that they'd signed the talent to, and that's what ultimately led them having to sell to Ted Turner.
Okay.
So when WWF later cried poor mouth during the Monday Night Wars, when Nitro started to really take the lead in the ratings, who created Ted Turner running his own wrestling organization? Ultimately, if you look back at history, they did, because they crushed Jim Crockett with the sabotage and forced Jim Crockett to sell to Ted Turner.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like breaking it down like that. That's nice.
Brutus Beefcake, if you missed it, fans, he taped 3 great episodes of Wrestling Insiders this fall here in this studio. It's available in the archives. Jake the Snake Roberts, a man we're looking forward to having at our Back to the 80s WrestleFest live event.
Can't.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan we've worked with in the past, down in with Commissioner Von Johnson, down in Ottawa, New Jersey. A lot of old friends.
I love it. I love all these.
Even some that I don't like.
It's just entrances.
Well, there were there were a lot of entrances. You're right.
But you know what? Back
you
then,
wondered
the
why
fans
they were up
loved it.
before matches.
But the fans loved it back
Yeah.
then. Look at them all. They didn't sit down once for any of these guys. It's unbelievable the change.
You go to a show now, everybody sits for
And
the
plus,
entrances.
who doesn't want to see them? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. This is so awesome.
Macho Man and Honky Tonk Man was just such an underrated, hot.
And if we had this abroad to listen to
feud.
that crowd, because there's no pyro, there's nothing, you know what I mean? It's
Yep.
just literally the crowd, and the crowd is going crazy. I love it. I love it.
Even though Macho Man's song's name is Pomp and Circumstance, there really wasn't a lot of pomp and circumstance going on. No pun
Right.
intended. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? What I would love to do and I know there would be a very small audience for it, but is to do a watch-along of the old Boston Garden house shows that are mainly on YouTube. There aren't many on WWE Network for whatever the reason.
I've never even looked.
But oh my God, I think just about all of them that were on Nessun are on YouTube. And I mean, just the atmosphere from those house shows.
Oh, I'd be down. I'd love to do that.
It was like Animal House going to those events. I remember when I started going, it was a month before my 6th birthday, and I remember being so excited and almost scared at the same time. They had a Strawberries record store near the big metal door where they'd let people in, and I remember holding on to my father's shirt as I'm like, what the,
what is going on?
Yeah, man, that's the fucking boom, boom, boom. Then they'd I don't know if you remember the old garden, but they'd open up the metal door and you'd run up the big ramp, and then you'd get to the point where, because you wouldn't know this, Matt, but the guys actually had to go through the venue to get to the locker room. So they had these 2 barricades set up. And when the heels would come in, they'd be swearing at them and throwing shit at them. And when someone like Hogan would walk in, I mean, and this is before you even go into the arena. This is just the concourse, where, like where you get the popcorn and the T-shirts. It was an amazing atmosphere for fans that were lucky enough to see WWF events at the Boston Garden.
You know what you notice too, when you look at all these guys in the ring, they're all huge. Like, they're just bigger.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
But you know what I'm saying?
They look like wrestlers.
But they look like
athletes.
wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? They look like, I know you're going to go with that.
To be fair, no, I mean, look at Ron Bass. He doesn't exactly look like an athlete, but
he still looks like he could beat the shit out of you.
Even Ricky the
That's
Dragon.
the point I was going to make. They look
what I was
like
just going to go with too.
Men. They look like men. They don't look like little kids. To use the Kevin Nash.
Because I was going to say, Ricky the Dragon's probably the smallest one, but he looks like he could still kick your butt.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I said, Dangerous Danny Davis. Look at him. He's the only one that's but still, I don't know, to me, he doesn't look like he doesn't belong.
Now, there were rumors that the referee in this match, Matt, was actually the father of Paul Glantz.
That's all I have no idea. I don't know that reference. Not for nothing, man. Bruce was such a friggin' in good shape, man. He looked good. Now, Danny Dangerous Davis, isn't he from New Hampshire?
Yes, he is, and he lives in southern Massachusetts now. He's someone we've actually talked about coming to the studio.
I thought he was from New Hampshire.
Very interesting story. He started off as a referee. He'd wrestle under a mask in prelim matches, I think usually as Mr. X or the Red Demon. He had a couple of different mask gimmicks. Then he'd go back, change, and he'd referee later on in the show. Plus, he did the rings. So he had a very interesting career.
Imagine doing that.
He was the referee responsible for Macho Man getting the Intercontinental title in the Boston Garden when Macho Man cheated to win, and then when the Hart Foundation cheated to beat the British Bulldogs. So they suspended Danny Davis from being a referee, and Jimmy Hart signed him to a contract, and he became a member of the Hart Foundation. At WrestleMania 3 earlier in the year, he got the pinfall victory when the Hart Foundation, who were the tag team champions, and Danny took on Tito Santana and the British Bulldogs in front of 93,000 plus at the Pontiac Silverdome. And there's a man's man. He headlined the first Starrcade in 1983 on Thanksgiving night, and here he is at the first Survivor Series, Thanksgiving night 1987.
How old was Harley Race then?
Harley looks like he's about 65,
That's what I was
believe
saying,
it or not, early 40s.
That's crazy to me. That's why
I think ever since he was born, he looked
I think Harley came out of the womb old.
He's one like Arn Anderson. Has looked like he was 55, 60 forever when he was I remember in WCW, he was on 37, 38.
You wouldn't think that when Arn Anderson retired, he wasn't even 40 yet.
Yeah. But what I was going to ask you is the refs. Do you like the way the refs dress now or like that back then? Because that is definitely so different than what they wear now.
I think both are fine. I don't think one's better than the other.
I kind of agree with Matt on that. Neither one of them really stands out to me. I guess maybe I like the classic blue because that's what I grew up with.
Right,
but as far as
that's how I
does
grew
it
up
really
too.
stand out compared to the zebra, the black and white? Not especially.
Okay, I was just curious if there was something that you'd want to go back to.
I wish they would do like this different ring ropes to go with the theme or the color of the show, whatever it may be.
I was always a fan of the traditional red, white, and blue ring ropes. But that's just one man's opinion.
I don't like when they do just the traditional ones now, the same for every show. I like when they make them different colors.
Now, this was a pretty significant comeback for Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Obviously, this is Thanksgiving, which would be November of 1987. Fans might remember in May of 87, Duggan and his arch rival, the Iron Sheik, were arrested on a highway in New Jersey with marijuana and cocaine, and both were fired at the time. Duggan was brought back in the fall of '87. Sheik came back for about a month in the summer of '88, and then got canned again because he failed another drug test, believe it or not.
That poor cameraman or something's getting killed.
But Duggan and Holly was a great feud. Have you ever seen the Slammy Awards from 1987?
No, I have not.
Watch this. I don't know if it's on WWF
That's what I'm saying.
Network.
How do I see? Because I don't think it's on here. I've never noticed it. At least.
Go to YouTube, because the brawl that Jim Duggan and Holly Race have during the Slammy Awards, I won't spoil it for you, but it's worth watching. I think you'll enjoy it.
But it looks like they hate each other. The brawls now in WWE looks like they're not trying to hurt.
Hey, it looks like they're trying to lay it in.
It looks like they're trying to lay it in. Hey, you look at the brawls today, and it just doesn't look real.
Outlaw Ron Bass, we've discussed it in our 1988 and 1989 shoot interviews, but he had a very uninspired run in WWF for a guy that had a lot of success in other territories. They really didn't care about the cowboy in WWF. His big angle would have been taking one of his spurs and cutting open Brutus Beefcake's head, which led to Brutus Beefcake being removed from SummerSlam '88, and it led to Ultimate Warrior being the mystery opponent that ended Honky Tonk Man's record Intercontinental Championship reign. See, I could talk about this stuff ad nauseum. This is a lot of fun to me.
It is.
As opposed to sitting through Payback.
Or what happened last night.
Amazement.
Well, again, remember, this is Thanksgiving Eve we're watching this. So we certainly hope all of our great fans will be with us to enjoy Thanksgiving with Marty Jannetty tomorrow night at 9. I don't think, you know what, we probably are going to have to be preempted for our AEW and NXT review.
I was just going to say that.
I don't know if the studio will let me in to do the AEW and NXT review on Thanksgiving. I don't know. But Marty definitely will be with us Thanksgiving night. And Wednesday we don't have a regular show, so why not spend the holiday pre-gaming with our great fans at home?
Absolutely.
Slick Rick, Maria, Tina, Ken, all the great Kevins that join us, Big Ant from Thunder Valley, Larson if he behaves himself, stick a fork in Ron Bass. And to add insult to injury, after he loses, his partner elbows him. Now that's funny because this is almost a year before the Beefcake and Ron Bass feud I just mentioned happened. In 1988, they were co-captains against each other. Warrior and Beefcake were co-captains against Honky and Bass as co-captains.
I love it. Just working the arm.
Love Beefcake's gear.
Hercules is a guy that is often forgotten in WWF history. He was there for a long time.
I love it. See, they continuously working the arm. Like, it's just so different back then.
Working body parts. I know we talked about that.
Yeah.
Body parts.
They don't work body parts anymore.
Like, that's awesome. Like, they continue. You know what I'm
You
saying?
should see the body parts that he works.
Okay, but you know what I mean? You must appreciate this, Dan. Look
I
at
do,
they
very
keep tag.
much.
You don't see tag team after that. They just go to do something else, a big spot. Like, this is nice. This is why I was excited to do this. Because you get to see
Could you imagine Montez Ford trying to have a match, not to knock the poor guy,
Right, but that's what I'm saying,
doing his one big flip and the two moves that he does?
Right.
How could he work a style like this?
This should be a recommendation at the PC. You have to go back and watch stuff like this because look at he's been
lot of
working
them
the arm for the last 5 minutes between both guys that were in the ring
A lot of
against
them
Brutus.
actually do. Because they'll post up.
But why don't they do it then? Because you went from Hercules working on that arm, now Honky Tonk's in there working on the arm, and they're continuously working on it. It's fun. This is what I love.
You could tell the ones that do watch the older stuff
And
apart
who
from the
don't.
ones you don't.
Yeah, Hercules is awesome. You're right. He is very underrated. Look, it's still, I love it.
Hercules was there, I think, from 85 through 92. And it's a pretty long run,
Do you think
especially
they missed
in
the
those
boat with
days.
him? Do you think they didn't choose him
No,
enough?
I mean, he was a solid mid-card guy.
Okay.
I'll tell you this.
You don't think he was championship material?
No.
Okay.
He did get a Saturday night main event against Hogan for the title on NBC, so that was significant.
I wish I was a little bit older so I could.
Anytime you got one of those Saturday night
Only time
main
I would say
event,
that is I wish I was a little bit older.
right?
Just to,
Me too.
That's the only time, just because I think I would have understood it a lot more. You know what I mean? Like, not even this age, maybe in my, between, 13, like where you could comprehend it a little bit more.
If you worked Hogan on Saturday night's main event, you're
that
talking about
huge, yeah.
It was NBC?
Yep.
In the Saturday Night Live time slot. It doesn't get much bigger than that.
Did you love that when you were a kid?
Yes, that's my favorite wrestling show of all time.
Saturday, yeah.
Even though it wasn't a weekly show, it was usually every 4 to 6 weeks.
Were you into the TBS too, Saturday on 605? Did you like that?
We didn't get cable in Melrose.
Oh, okay. So you didn't.
So I didn't have access to NWA as early as I did WWF.
See, I was curious. Yeah, I know. I didn't know.
We
but you
didn't-
must have watched it all when you could,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
We didn't have, the first pay-per-view we could order in Melrose was Great American Bash 88.
Okay.
So for this, I had to wait until the next day. A friend of my father's that he worked with lived in a city that did have pay-per-view capability, and he'd bring me the VHS tape.
That's
of it.
awesome.
So
So you must
I
have
was
been looking forward to that.
You imagine what I must have been like in school that day.
Yeah.
Same thing I remember with WrestleMania 4.
Wow. That's crazy to think that. You
Back
had
when
to
you were actually excited to watch something.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I'm probably different than them too. I get very excited. Still, I do.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I'm a little kid. Ask him when we go to WrestleManias. I'm like, I'm pumped.
Well, it makes you happy.
Longer
That's,
the better
that's
for me.
what it should do.
I love
for,
the 6-7
when I
hour
go
That's
there-
what it should do for everybody,
when I'm there in person, I'm more excited than just watching it on TV. Because at least you get to experience it in person. Like, even if the show is shit.
Little shake, rattle, and roll from Honky. And it's also, quote unquote, funny or maybe ironic, is on the opposite side, the good guy team, Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat on the same team just a few months after they had their classic match at WrestleMania 3.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even realize that's
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the first pay-per-view since WrestleMania 3. And
Do
now
you
they're
wish pay-per-views
teammates.
were like this more, like far apart like
Yes.
that? Yes.
Because everything was built up,
Yep.
You'd be so excited.
Yep.
Gives you more
There was
reason to watch the
long-term
pay-per-views.
thought.
So when they introduced like in your houses, when you were like, what's going on here? Were you still okay?
To be honest, I was excited that there was going to be more access to the events, but even back in 1995, if you look at it, a lot of the characters and the gimmicks weren't great, but there was a lot of thought and build-up and common sense and logic in all of the top programs. I mean, look at the main event of the first In Your House, Diesel and Sid. You talk about a dud of a match, but it was a feud that was really built up and had some steam behind it. It wasn't just thrown together for the sake of throwing it together.
Right. Yep.
Just about every match on the pay-per-view card had a vendetta behind it or a storyline behind it or an angle behind it. Sometimes you'd see a newcomer come in and have their debut against a lower card face or heel just to try and get them over. And even that was interesting because you were seeing a new star debut.
Right.
But Jake and Honky in early '87, they had, what a feud they had. They did wrestle at WrestleMania
You
3.
seen that when he got out? I love that. He was going for the he pushed
But
himself right away.
you want to
I
hear a
love it.
funny one? They were scheduled to wrestle 4 months in a row at the Boston Garden, Jake and Honky. In May of '87, I believe Jake got injured and Ken Patera took his place. In June of '87, I don't know if Jake was still injured or it was part of he failed a coke test. So it turned into Coco and the Honky Tonk Man. July of '87, Jake was definitely out over that cocaine issue. And it was Bruno Sammartino against Honky.
Oh, wow.
And then in August of '87, one of, I believe, only 2 times in the era that I was going, it had a special 8:30 p.m. start time, which sucked, especially in the heat of the old Boston Garden,
Right.
which didn't have air conditioning.
Yep.
It was Honky Tonk and the Hart Foundation against Bruno Sammartino, Tito Santana, and finally Jake in a 6-man tag. So for 4 months in a row, they tried to do something with Jake and Honky.
That late too. 8:30 at night. Wow.
Boston was always 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
The 8:30 start time. I don't know if it was just based upon where they were coming from earlier
gonna
in
say
the
the
day for
travel,
a matinee, but because there weren't any sports going on in August with the Celtics and the Bruins.
Right.
But it was just so hot in the Garden in the summertime. with no AC, with those crowds that they'd draw.
Do you think back then, if they developed like a Monday Night Raw back then, it would have worked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious because, like you said,
You know, Primetime Wrestling was a 2-hour show that was on every Monday. It wasn't the format that Raw had, but
right, I mean, like the whole thing, like the way it is. I didn't know if you'd think it would work like that. That's what I was asking because you've watched. You're more up to date with this stuff because this was more your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, for it to be a 2-hour show that was going to have nothing but marquee matches with names against names every week, I think they would have needed to have rated more of the remaining promotions. And I mean, in '87, what was left? NWA,
right?
World Class was dying. AWA was dying. But you know, I'm sure they would have rated those promotions quicker if they had the opportunity to. But
love it.
They didn't. They didn't need to.
And he gets to watch when it actually made. I love that
because you know what? Once and it's done.
And it's just a simple DDT, but it works. Now you hit it.
Because they built it up as a devastating finisher.
Right, I love it.
Now you could have a devastating finisher and someone will still kick out of it.
Yep.
Because they don't build it up. Almost like a kill shot type of thing.
For such a big dude, too. Love it.
I lost my train of thought, believe it or not. That's all right. It'll come to me.
Get back on the tracks.
We got plenty of time.
No, as far as Raw being successful in the 80s, the squash match formula worked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The guys, you get to see the stars. They kick the hell out of some scrub. And you paid to go to the arena to see them. Or you paid to watch on one of the 4 pay-per-views a year.
And you didn't care who they were wrestling back then,
No.
right? As long as you got to see a honky-tonk man, a macho man. But whoever they wrestled, you didn't care, right? You're saying?
Primetime Wrestling would usually have a couple of feature matches each week. Because
Okay.
Primetime, they'd take a few matches from the syndicated shows, and they'd take a few matches from the house shows they'd tape. You'd see maybe a couple from MSG. You'd see a couple of undercard matches from the Boston Garden, from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, from out in Los Angeles. So Primetime I always thought was a great mix, where I don't know if you're too familiar with the show, but the glory days of it, it'd be Bobby and Gorilla Monsoon almost in a studio setting like this, and they'd do an intro and an outro to each match and talk about all the big news that was happening at the time.
Okay.
And there was probably, probably 8 matches throughout the 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: do you think that format would work nowadays? Not the
Prime time?
not like that. Maybe not that, but like the way they use the enhancement talent, like you're saying. Like you think?
If I was WWE, I would do at least one enhancement match an hour on their TV shows.
I'm just curious because, like you said, they didn't always have like marquee matchups. I was wondering if you think that format back then would work now.
Because the reason I think it would be successful is it would get guys' personalities over more. It would get their moveset over more. It would get their finishing moves over more to the point where they have some value, as opposed to a lot of matches you see that's just
Remember they
like
went that way a little bit.
500-piece jigsaw puzzle that they drop, and there's puzzle pieces here, puzzle pieces there, but oftentimes the whole puzzle doesn't come together in a way that the fans enjoy.
Like a match of the year every single night now, because you get, an enhancement talent match and the fans get bored. They don't like, say Roman Reigns versus an enhancement talent. Now people are like, oh, this is boring.
Well, the enhancement matches were only generally 2 to 3 minutes long, so there wasn't time to get bored. They were always really
good.
fun.
I'm just saying, but now fans don't look at Roman Reigns, like as you said before. When they see them, they don't get excited.
Right.
Nowadays, they don't have that star power
And you gotta
when they
remember
can walk out and they get,
Yeah, and the fans are all built to think it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Roman. It's going to be like that now. So when they do see like somebody, an enhancement talent facing those guys, they don't know what's going on. They don't get excited.
They get
if
bored
they
of it.
always kept it like he was saying with, you know you were going to get your marquee guys against maybe a couple marquee matches, but you're going to get a couple of matches with enhancement
now
talent.
everything now,
it'd be different.
You have to reinvent the wheel. But you know what? It can be done. Well, geez, I don't know if this is even a good analogy, but WWE tried to do it when they tried to slow down the pace of the Attitude Era and bring back more in-ring work as opposed to stunts and smut and bra and panties and so on and so forth. And it's led to a decline in the popularity for sure. But, I mean, if you look at what this company was drawing in 1987 with the format they used, in 3 cities a night, forget about, having wrestling in town once or twice a year, and a lot of big markets every month, every 3 weeks at MSG. I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of, the money certainly then wasn't what it is now, even based upon inflation, but, I think a lot could be done, even if they tried it with one brand.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
I wouldn't want that referee to cut my turkey tomorrow.
He's kind of. Who? Do you even know who that is?
I don't even know his name, but I always thought he was a dirty-looking man.
I was just going to say, he looks like a homeless guy.
I gave you this question for the Bad Blood watch along.
All right, what do we got?
If you could take anybody from this match and put him in today's wrestling, who would it be?
I would take Honky Tonk.
No, Macho. Macho would draw now.
Well, I didn't want to go with the
then.
obvious one. Of course, I was getting Macho, but Macho was really in this now, pretty much. I mean, the 90s, too, he took, you know what I mean?
Honky would kind of be interesting nowadays, whereas the character was kind of really hokey.
What about a tag team with Honky Tonk Man and Elias?
Oh.
No. You know who else I would like? Ricky the Dragon, because the way he wrestles
He
like...
fit in perfect.
That's what I'm saying, because
yeah.
the way he wrestles then,
It's like
today.
Yeah.
So actually, Ricky, I just didn't want to go with Macho Man because, of course, Macho Man, but he was in the 90s, too, like, the late 90s and everything.
Now, who's someone from today you'd put in this match that would fit well?
Jeez. That's going to take a second.
Roman.
Yeah.
I think Roman would fit in this era well.
Trying to run the card.
Do you think McIntyre would?
I think he'd look kind of thin.
What
even
about
though he's
Orton?
kind of a bigger guy now.
There he
Orton
is.
would fit in any era, even though he'd look kind
we
of
said
thin
that
too.
in the Bad Blood one too, that Orton can fit anywhere. Something you see in this too. You look at shows today. How many camera cuts do they do in today's wrestling? Back
Boy,
it
that-
was-
Kevin Dunn's got to
Yeah.
cut that out, man. Everything is a move.
Yeah, I don't
every
know
Kev-
if Kevin Dunn, what exactly his title was, but Kevin Dunn was involved in the production of this event to show you how long the man has been with the company.
When Vince watches, doesn't he think that's too much, or does he love it like that? Just because, like you're saying, the shaking of the camera and it's here, there, it's
They
like,
do the 40
that right there would have been 3 times. It would have been one on that side of the rope, one on that side of the rope, and then watch the move. Nowadays,
If
but
I
there
was
just
Vince
one.
McMahon,
This is how it should be most of the time. I love just the hard camera, don't you?
when they're in the corners and
Yes.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, do the corner cam. where
Right,
someone
but
comes
other
out the
than
ring.
that, it should be
Just
hard
keep-
cam. But it's never hard cam. Like, I love this view because you can see the whole entire ring, all of it, and then maybe zoom in a little, yeah, like that. But other than that, I don't know.
There's too much going on with the camera cuts. You don't get as much attention to what's going on throughout, especially in a match like this where it's 5-on-5. You got people outside the ring. You got managers.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you're right.
There's
Absolutely.
a lot going on in a big match like this.
I think Vince McMahon should sit down with his grandkids and say, what do you like about what Grandpa does? And what do you not like about what Grandpa does? And really take that into consideration. Those are 3 kids now. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what their ages are.
Or
but,
just take a group. Like, go somewhere where you know there's, get a group of
but I
wrestling
mean,
fans.
he can talk to his grandkids anytime he wants.
Right, but do they watch like that? That's the only problem is, do they watch like that? Even though they're, you don't know.
It's pretty sad if they don't.
But who knows? You never know.
That's what I mean. That's why I think he has the best survey group possible. He has 3 grandsons that are probably early teens or approaching teenagers.
Yeah.
I
They'll
would love
love the
to
shame
have that
matches.
kind
But
of
would they give it
feedback.
to him real, I wonder? That's my thing.
Well, maybe they wouldn't want to hurt his feelings.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you could get some actual wrestling fans and just find out, not the ones that are like, the internet or whatever, but like some real wrestling fans, like even you, because you have like some insight and you've been one for so long. It's not like you're 100 years old, you know what I mean? You could give them
Thank
some
you.
insight.
Thank
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
That's
He
what I'm
may
saying.
feel
Get some
like it,
actual
but-
real wrestling fans that have been from back then to now and see what you like and what you don't.
All he has to do is put on his own network and say, okay, what will we draw in 87 and why? What will we draw in 98 and why?
Honestly, do you think he
what are
even's
we
ever
drawing in
watched it?
2020? And probably not.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if he just looked at some of the financial books, what were we doing during the years when we were drawing big
think
that
the
we're
snake-
not doing now?
You think that snake would work nowadays?
Oh, that'd work anytime.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, yeah. Now, can you still do that nowadays? Like, bring something like that into the ring? I don't know the different kind of liability.
Considered animal abuse.
Yeah. I'm saying, because you know how it's all weird now, everything with it. I didn't know.
Well, the abuse that the poor snake went through in the locker room, yes, that would be illegal, but that was never on television.
Right. I didn't know how it would be, yeah.
If that poor snake could ever have used hashtag me too, what they did to that poor snake in the back.
Hashtag me too.
Oh, they'd kick the shit out of the snake. They'd inject it with drugs and steroids and
What?
Oh yeah. They beat the shit out of the snake.
And other
You never knew how he was going to... I mean, there were probably dozens of different Damians over the years. But, I mean, you never knew what was going to happen when that bag opened up and the thing came out. I mean, they'd be... You know, he's in a sack. He can kick it. What's the snake going to do to you? Or they'd take a syringe and shoot it up?
Don't even tell me that.
Oh, yeah, true story.
I didn't know that
there were
stuff.
stories
That's
about
awful.
doing
Look at
sexual
that.
things with the snake.
It's crazy.
Well.
You look at one-man gang there. King Kong Bundy.
That's a team.
Ravishing. Dude.
You need to go
Slick.
win.
Do you
Look at
think
Slick.
Quincy's coat would fit Andre the Giant?
Potentially. Andre might be able to
Squeeze in.
squeeze into
Look at
Quincy's.
Andre.
You can't even see poor Butch Reed.
I was just going to say, he's a big man. Wow. I love it.
And there it was, one of the biggest matches in the history of our industry.
See what a manager can do for someone?
Oh, Bobby the Brain
Just
was
the
amazing. He was someone I wish I could have met before he passed away.
Well, you should have been at Soul Survivor 1, kid. I don't know what else to tell you.
wasn't even-
May 31st,
I didn't know you then.
2003.
I wish I
Lynn,
was.
Massachusetts. And Slick was a very underrated manager.
Yeah.
He was very, very good. He was at one point banned from the Boston Garden, I think for a year.
Why?
Some fan that was grabbing at him when he was coming down the aisle, and he took a shot at him. Slick, the Doctor of Style, wasn't in the mood.
He wasn't in the mood. It's crazy to think One Man Gang also was in WCW. You know what I mean? The early to late 90s too. Like, it's crazy to me. Some of these guys, wow.
This was a big deal. I believe this was only the second match Andre had in '87. He wasn't on the house show loop, that's for sure. He was a hurting unit.
He's probably he's such a big man, but he could just draw so much. Like, make you listen to him. Nowadays, big guys like that, like, remember the Great Khali, it was just nothing.
Or Big Show.
Yeah, even
Well, the problem is they didn't work like giants.
Yeah.
Big Show sold for everybody.
Right.
Big Show sold like he was a guy that was 6 feet tall instead of 7 feet tall. So that was Big Show. Well, I mean, that's how Big Show was
Why did
produced.
they go away doing that? Because it's not like he
there's not as
decided to
many.
do that.
Crash.
Like,
How many guys can you put against them now, though?
Crash. Oh, here we go with this one. You talk about a match that...
I was just going to say, if this is the one match you probably killed, even then you probably
I'm
hated
glad
it.
they didn't go through the individual entrances.
Now, did you
for
even
this.
like women's wrestling
No.
then? No. Okay, I don't know, because I know you hate it now.
I'll say this. The Glamour Girls and the Jumping Bomb Angels feud for the women's tag team title was great. I'll
Look
give
how
them...
old they looked.
Well...
Oh, my God.
And I tell you this, Judy Martin really wasn't that old.
She looks old, though, right?
She's like
Judy
the
not just
voice
me.
of the
I
women's
think
division.
Judy Martin's only in her 60s now.
Why does she look so dang old?
Lalani Kai, the other member of the Glamour
remember her,
Girls,
yeah.
she was in the big featured women's title match at WrestleMania 1 against Wendy Richter. And that's not to be confused
I was
with
gonna just say, not
the
the Dawn
ECW Dawn Marie. And they got Donna
How
Cristinello
old
from
is
some
she?
crack house. God only knows.
I'm going to say, because she looks like she's 50.
Donna Cristinello wasn't a regular.
Okay.
They really had to scrap.
See, this
to
is what I
find
love,
10.
because I don't know enough about this stuff. I know the right guys. I didn't know nothing about the women's back then.
How did they build this match up? Do you remember? Or is it just
Very little.
Yeah.
Sensational
Very
Sherry's
little.
a beautiful woman.
ladies
She was.
world champion? Do you think
I like
it
her.
should be called ladies now or women's?
I think ladies makes it sound a little more classy.
Well, you must have been happy with this. They canceled Glow. You see the season 4 of Glow? They got rid of that on Netflix.
Why would
now.
that make me happy?
Because I know you don't like the women's stuff.
No, that's a TV show. That's
oh,
different.
so you're okay with it, all right.
It's the sister
forced
of Jake
watch.
the Snake, Rockin' Robin. She remembered.
Really?
She remembered to use the blush, I think.
Is she really?
Yeah. and
wow.
Sam Houston.
Wow.
And they are the Jumping Bomb Angels.
You love them.
I don't know if they were the women's tag team champions at this point.
It didn't have the thing under their names.
1 and 2.
Oh, look at this.
And there we go, baby. At 102 years old, the fabulous Moolah.
How old was she there?
25.
In 87, she would have been, I'm going to say at least early 60s.
Okay.
Without having, Wikipedia in front of me.
And it's crazy, she was still going hard during the ride. Like,
She had her one last run.
Yeah.
It's funny now, if they did a first-time thing for this, they're not having it in Ohio. They're having it in a big city.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, this was right outside of Cleveland.
Is this a big city? Then this is considered a big...
Oh, yeah, this was a big arena.
Back then, yeah.
Oh, I'm saying now in like a main marketplace, if they were going to do like a first-ever big show...
Well, was Ohio considered a big market for them?
Yes, because you could draw
that's it.
from so many other markets. That's part of the reason why Detroit was such a great pick for the for WrestleMania 3, I should say.
And you know what I like about Sensation? She looked like she'd kick your ass.
And she could.
That's what I mean. Like, she looks like it. That's what I like about her being, for women's, at least.
She was a good pick to end the Moolah days.
Yeah.
Moolah kind of overstayed her welcome.
Was she tall?
Moolah?
Sensational Sherry. She looks kind of tall, and like just the outfit she's wearing, she looks long.
Not exceptionally.
No, okay.
But I'll say this about Moolah. Whatever the business arrangement was where Moolah booked all the women to WWF came to an end around this time, and she wound up fucking the Jumping Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls out of a title match at WrestleMania 4.
Look at that wrestling. Wow. Now, you said she's almost 60 here?
Oh, she's in her 60s
And
at
she's
this point.
wrestling like that?
Yeah.
Good for her, because she's actually going pretty hard. Wow.
Jeez, this
She had a nice little
woman's
run right.
wrestling is better than today's.
I was just going to say, you just stole the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say that at 60s.
They knew how to work. They weren't in there just doing spots.
this one right in the
look
pink,
at
I don't know what this is.
Cristanello.
And now we go back down.
Velvet McIntyre, the one in the pink, wasn't bad.
Is she related to Drew McIntyre?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I believe Velvet's either from... Where was Velvet from? I think Velvet was an Irish woman, I believe.
You ever think about bringing any of these in?
No.
No? Come on.
At one point, not long before she passed, I did talk to Sherry Martel about
that's what I
coming in.
meant.
Yeah.
Like, so I know she's not around now, but I meant like anytime.
That would have been 07, I think.
What about like a Luna?
Well, she's passed away, too.
I'm talking about back then. Like when
Luna
you first
I would have had an interest in.
I'm just going with
Yep.
names because I know you're not a big fan of all this.
There's Lalani.
I can't believe they're in, like you said, their 30s, 40s, and they look like they're 50s.
Yeah, Judy Martin was an old-looking woman.
Jesus.
This women's wrestling is actually better than today's.
It's more fast-paced, but it looks good while
But
they're
it
doing
looks
it.
real.
That's what I
the
mean.
thing.
It looks better.
The women's wrestling today, as he said, it doesn't look like it could.
The guys wouldn't accept them being on the shows to go out there and do what they do now. There is the non-ECW Dawn Marie tagging in.
She's old as shit. Oh, my God.
This may have been the first and last time I ever remember seeing Dawn Marie. Donna Cristanello, I vaguely remembered.
Now I'll pitch the question to you again.
No,
Who would you
no.
take from here and move to today?
For women?
Yeah.
Sherry.
Yeah, definitely Sherry.
Sherry would fit in.
Ooh.
Ugh.
We all did the same thing.
And Rockin' Robin would go on to beat Sherry for the women's championship in 1988.
Were you a fan of Rockin' Robin?
No.
No, of course not.
And now what about the reverse? Who would you take from today and put in this show right
Charlotte?
Oh, my God.
Charlotte.
Whoa.
Charlotte and maybe...
I think Asuka would be good
I
on
was
the
just
team
gonna
with
say
the Jumping
Asuka,
Bomb
too.
Angels. Yeah.
I think Charlotte, Asuka, and maybe...
Shayna?
I haven't seen enough of her yet on the main roster. She's just hidden in that tag team. I know who you would take,
Dawn Marie's
Nia.
itching
You
to-
would take Nia, right?
I think there would have been room for a big woman.
Yeah.
What about our friend on SmackDown? John Candy.
No.
What about Bailey Mahoney?
No, we don't need that. We got Donna Cristanello and Dawn Marie here right now. Dawn Marie, well, they didn't do bikini shoots back then. Was Donna Cristinello eliminated? I must have missed that. Look at that. Dawn Marie just got it. Yeah, the hell
not
with
for
this.
nothing, but they've been going hard the whole time.
I don't
Like there hasn't been none of that, like, you know, setup moves. It's just been going one move after the other. I like it. Uh-oh. She's mad.
Judy Martin, I think, is a cop now down in South Carolina.
Really? Oh.
Very good friend of one of our referees, Eric Stefano, that's down in Connecticut. Yeah, the feud, this tag team title feud they had, even though they claim now they have the first women's tag team champions, that's untrue.
What are the Jumpin' Bomb Angels up to now?
They're jumping.
All right.
The feud they had, they were excellent. They worked the garden.
I'm actually entertained. It's not that bad.
And having Jimmy Hart as their manager, I think that gave it a little bit more credibility too.
He loved it, man, huh? Back then.
It's already his second coat of the night.
I was just gonna say, like, he loved it. He was looking at me now. How did he stay so pumped up all the time?
Well,
jumping up and
love
down.
the business.
Yeah. I like Jimmy Hart. Uh-oh. What are we going for?
Now, I think Sherry would be excellent in today's WWE.
Yep.
Or any women's wrestling promotion. Not only was she a solid wrestler, but her promo ability was very, very, very good. I don't understand the Rockin' Robin phenomenon, but it didn't last long.
She wasn't rocking?
If you ever see the unedited version of WrestleMania 5, they had her, instead of wrestle, they had her sing the national anthem, and they fucked it up something severe. Either she couldn't hear the music, or she didn't line up with the music, but they had to do it twice.
Oof.
That was kind of an odd start to that WrestleMania, because not only did you have the Rockin' Robin national anthem fuck up, you had one of the few fuck ups ever of Howard Finkel. Oh. In the opening matchup, he introduced Haku as King Tonga.
Really?
I don't know if that's edited out on WWE Network, yeah, but that was a goof from the Fink. And that WrestleMania, that whole night was a goof. That was a rough one at Old Trump Plaza. But even watching Rockin' Robin now, I don't see why they said, geez, that's who we should put the belt on.
How many times can you say that in today's wrestling, though?
Well,
that's true.
When the title, you got to remember, Moolah held the title for about 30 years before she lost it to Sherry. And I'm not exaggerating. It was several decades of a run that Moolah had. This old Judy.
There's not much competition.
A lot of glamour going on right there, baby.
Almost like George Costanza.
Oh, man.
But a tough bird.
Oh.
Here comes McIntyre.
Judy attends the Cauliflower Alley Club a lot of the years.
Whoa. Geez, how many high-cross bodies have we seen? Whoa.
Now that was the way they would flip them in the ring like that, it was an easier bump for the ladies to take, where their bodies are more slight than the men. You know what? They didn't have Divas reality shows with them. They didn't have bikini shoots. They didn't have them involved with all the drama with the men outside of Elizabeth, and it was for the better.
I'm blown away with Moolah.
Blown away by
just
Moolah.
Because she's her age, what Dan said, and then look at her, because she's working better than the girls today. And she's at that age. Like, look at she just...
There's a reason why she survived for so long, you know. There's a lot of negative things that can be said about the woman, but there are positives too. And you know what? She was a survivor in a man's business. She had balls. She was a tough woman. And she didn't go out there and coast.
Wow.
Can't say that about women today. How many women do you watch in wrestling today and say, oh, they're tough?
I mean, I still like it. I'm not hating it like him, but there are some that I'm just like, what are they doing? But I like it. I'm not
There's a
opposed
handful
to
that I like, but...
Yeah, I'll say this. The lack of respect that Lalani Kai gets in the history of WWE bothers me. not only was she involved in that big WrestleMania 1 title match that was all over MTV when they were building up her and Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper involved, the singer at the time. Do you know who Cyndi Lauper is?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right. I thought maybe you wouldn't at your age. I mean, this was mainstream television stuff that she was involved with.
Girls just want to have fun.
Granted, Moolah was her manager at the point, and Moolah tried to take a lot of.
Like I'm like brain dead or something.
Well, no, because that was a long time before you even thought of it.
Moolah tried to take some of the sizzle away from Leilani in the feud, that's just wrestling. But you know what? Then that was 84 into 85, and then you go into 87 into 88. And she's involved in this great women's tag team title feud between Glamour Girls and the Jumping Bomb Angels. And I don't understand why the lady isn't in the Hall of Fame compared to some of the complete and utter garbage that they've inducted female-wise so far. One man's opinion, but I think Leilani Kai, she deserves a lot more respect than she gets. At least Sherry got inducted into the Hall of Fame, despite my strong thoughts on Sherry, which I will not get into on Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, you don't want to upset people.
Well, not that I want to upset people. It's more a WWE torpedo.
Oh, okay.
But she deserved a lot better than she got.
Ooh.
I remember Judy Martin, they brought her back for a singles run with Rockin' Robin for the women's title on the house show loop. I believe it was March. Stick a fork in Moolah. And this is Moolah's last appearance, probably until the Attitude Era.
No way, really?
Yep.
So you're talking almost 10 years? 10, 11 years, yeah.
Well, she'd pop up every now and then for a Hall of Fame.
But for like a steady...
that was her last regular appearance until the
Where
thing
did she
with
go
Mae
from there?
Young.
Do you remember, or just off
Just
TV?
training female wrestlers.
Okay.
There were many offshoots trying to start a female wrestling league, not a real one, not that Glow TV show. There was a point I was trying to make, and I lost my train of thought again. Oh, I think it was March 18th, 1989. I just mentioned that they brought Judy Martin back to do a singles program with Rockin' Robin. They did the matinee at MSG. They did the evening at the Boston Garden, with Hogan and Bossman on top in cage matches. I think combined, they drew about 35,000 fans for the two shows.
Unreal.
They sold out both of them. And Judy Martin worked Rockin' Robin for the women's title on both of them. I remember that.
That's awesome. Wow.
That's how hot it was back then. I mean, you can say, okay, they sold out a house show, but on those weekends when they had matinees and you could go to two major markets like that and sell both of them out, can you imagine what Hogan and Bossman took home for a payday that day?
So was WWF making loads of money back then?
You got to remember, the tickets at that point were $16, $12, and $9.
Yeah, so they were real cheap.
So...
But they were doing all right,
they
right?
Were doing, they were doing better than all right.
All right. Well, you know what I mean, yeah.
Could you imagine them trying to do 2 house shows in one day and drawing 35,000 people?
They'll do the Raw and SmackDown house shows now.
Do you think the tickets are overpriced now? Or do you think they're right where they should be?
I think they are a little bit too high now, but I understand the point of view that they only go to these cities now once a year or twice a year in a lot of cases.
Well, what about like a front row seat for like a WrestleMania when it's $2-3 grand? You think that's
when the people start buying them, then you know they're overpriced.
Okay. I just want to know because I think that's kind of...
And I tell you this, and I actually had a talk with someone in WWE Event Relations at one point about this. It was around the year of the Dallas one, because I remember and the thought process to them was, okay, they were charging maybe, say, $1,000 for a front row ticket at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Then they'd see on eBay, StubHub, and whatnot, some of the front row tickets were going for a couple of grand. So they're saying if there's people willing to pay for it, why should people on Ticketmaster or on eBay and StubHub make this money when there are tickets to our event? Right. So that's when the big increase came. It was around that time. I think if it wasn't at the Dallas WrestleMania, it was, I think, the year leading into it, if I remember right. I don't know what happened there. Jimmy Corderas, I think he called off the pinfall.
She bridged out of it.
That guy had a heck of a long run in that company.
I'm saying that ref man looked really young. We go from a guy that looks like homeless to this guy. Wow. Would you let him sour up your turkey?
He doesn't look like a dirty man, unlike the
You said you would.
referee from the first.
Yeah.
And I also liked at these early Survivor Series that you had the 2 referees.
Oh, she's got the Cesaro swing going on. Look at this. Maybe that's who he stole it from.
I'm going to guess no, but you never know.
You didn't think he was a fan of McIntyre.
Well, he's from overseas, so
Yeah.
maybe he was a fan of Velvet's. But I always, again, as I was saying, I like that they had the 2 referees, one inside, one
She's
outside.
wrestling with no shoes.
Yep. I can't think of too many women that wrestled barefoot. Victory roll over Sherry. Now, you would have thought with wrestling logic back then that Velvet was in line to have a program with Sherry over the women's title.
I was just about to say that.
Do you want to know? I'll ask you a little trivia.
Okay.
Do you want to know what Sherry, as women's champion, spent most of her 1988 doing before she lost it to Rockin' Robin in the fall of '88?
I have no idea. I was 3 years old.
They had her dressed up under a blonde wig and sunglasses and a scarf as Peggy Sue, and she'd come out and dance with the Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart. And if you ever go back and see TV matches with Peggy Sue, that's actually Sherry Martel under a wig, and you wouldn't know it because they did a good job dressing her up. But I don't know why. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. She never spoke. She
Imagine
was just
them doing
Peggy
that
Sue.
now. They would never do that now. Like, it's crazy to think back they did stuff like that. Now, they want every single ounce of anybody on there.
They brought her back as Sherry to lose the title on a European tour to Rockin' Robin in the fall of '88. And then shortly after WrestleMania 5 is when they put her with Randy, when Randy went heel and they couldn't turn Elizabeth heel.
So did anything ever come of McIntyre? Like, did she ever get anything, or?
No, she was pretty much done after this.
Really?
After this, because Moolah was the stick and glue with the women.
Okay.
And the Moolah relationship, I don't know what happened, but shortly around this time is when that...
What's going on here?
Anyway, around this time is when it fell apart. For WrestleMania 4, the women's tag team title was supposed to be on the line between the Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. Okay. But Moolah did something, I think they were in Japan, for whichever promotion that the Jumping Bomb Angels worked on, and they were defending the WWF women's tag team titles in Japan. Moolah called the promoter and said that Vince wanted a title change. Really? And they did a title change in Japan that WWF had no idea was happening. And they came back and they got all kinds of shit and they never used them again. That was Moolah's revenge. And I tell you this, Leilani Kai hates Moolah because of it. Because that was her chance to make a good payday, you know? And I tell you, WrestleMania 4 sucks so much. And you know my thoughts on women's wrestling.
Yeah.
The Glamour Girls and the Jumping Bomb Angels really would have added something to the WrestleMania 4.
Wow.
Though that series was that good.
That's crazy.
They could work. I couldn't tell you the Jumping Bomb Angels' names. If you offered me quite a bit of money. They weren't 1 and 2, I know that much, but they were excellent, excellent, excellent. And again, I'll say again, Leilani Kai deserves much more respect than she gets in WWE history. It's an insult that she's not in the Hall of Fame with all she contributed in those 2 big runs that she had. And she also came back for WrestleMania 10. Yep. It was supposed to be Alundra Blaze against Debbie Combs, and I don't know what happened with Debbie Combs, but they brought Leilani back to take her place.
I think that's where I was first really introduced to her more.
When you were first introduced to Leilani
because I didn't know
Kai.
who back then, man. I was 2 years old when this happened. I didn't know. I remember that name back then.
I just remember being so disappointed I couldn't watch this live.
Look at that.
And their next big match would have been on the free version of the first Royal Rumble '88, if memory serves me correct. Who needs Google and Wikipedia when it comes to this stuff when you have my brain? Because I love this.
When you have Dan
I love this. It makes me happy.
This
I
for
would
you
drive-
is like me with the Attitude Era.
I would drive my father miserable to bring me to those monthly WWF events at the Boston Garden, but he did it. And now he resents it even more because my life has become one of wrestling. As he says, if I never took you to those fucking events, fill in the blank. But Judy's hanging on.
She is. Look at her. Oh.
And a little blown up.
Oh. She can't even throw off clothes. She swung around.
Well,
Look at that. A little, what did she land? The ankle?
look at the ankle right across the throat of Judy Martin.
She couldn't hear you see her face. She's like, oh, man.
Now Jimmy's going to take a bump.
Whoa,
And see,
that
that's what
was
I mean.
a good one.
He added to the package to help get the Jumping Bomb Angels over.
Oh, what a bump, though, huh?
Yeah.
Landed right on his butt to the outside. Oof.
And look at this. I don't remember the Jumping Bomb Angels on TV before this. They may have been. I was in the first grade, I think, for Survivor Series 87. But I don't remember them. If they were on TV before Survivor Series, it was only a handful of times because the women weren't on TV much.
And the crowd loved it, though. You know? They exploded when they
Bow for them.
Yeah. The cop,
And I
he loves
believe
it.
at this point they went to, actually, and this may be a surprise to a lot of younger fans, they had an intermission.
That's right.
They'd have
Yep, I remember
back
that intermission.
to the live event right now, they'd be saying, we'll be back after 15 minutes. Then on TV, they'd do an interview, I think a 5-minute intermission where they do a clock countdown. Then they'd come back with another interview that the fans couldn't see because they didn't have TV screens at that point. So it would only be 5 minutes, I think, for the fans on TV.
Right.
But it would be 15 for the live audience.
Okay.
If I remember right. I might be off a little bit, but again, I was in the first grade, you know.
Yeah. Give yourself some. I was.
Oh, a lot of friends in this team.
I love this.
Now, see, this is when they're going to intermission in the venue.
Look how friggin' young Bret Hart was.
Well, he was. Jimmy's probably looking for another coat after bringing Judy Martin to the back.
It's funny seeing.
Jimmy needed an intermission of his own. He was almost in
Bret
every
Hart
match
was
on the
so
show.
much bigger, man. Wow. You forget.
It's funny seeing everybody bigger than the interviewer. Now you look at the interviewers and they're almost,
Yeah.
they're almost bigger.
Or it's some woman. What do you think about your 5-on-5 match tonight?
Do the stare off.
And then as they walk away,
Back to you.
Wow, look at Jimmy.
Jimmy's got another coat. Or maybe that was the coat from the first match. All right, Jimmy, calm down, brother. I tell you, one team that's really underrated I see on that screen right now were the Islanders, Haku and Tama. They were very, very, very good.
Man, look at Haku or Ming, whatever you want to call him. Look how jacked. Oof.
I have no idea why Tama left right after WrestleMania 4. That would be a good question for one of our interviews. Because they were in the middle of a big feud with the British Bulldogs, and he just kind of vanished. No.
There you go.
As noted, the Iron Sheik was fired in May of
Standing
1987.
up, making Gorilla try to stand up. I love
At
it.
least Jesse treated them with
love it.
respect.
I love that he was trying to pull him up.
Oh, he's already done?
You're like the national
I
anthem.
guess I
from
started a little
WrestleMania
late, yeah.
4. Here come a couple hundred entrances.
Oh, look
Here
at
they are,
Fuji.
baby. Axe and Smash Demolition. The
Love
team that I reunited. If you loved Demolition back in the 80s, 3 years after this event at Survivor Series 90, Axe and Smash did not speak for 16 years. And one man brought them back together again. And that man is sitting at this table right now. And I think it is one of my great accomplishments in wrestling history, because I believe Demolition is the greatest tag team in WWF history. One man's opinion. I know many will disagree, but their run was phenomenal.
How old was Dino Bravo?
Here?
Yeah.
Late 30s.
He's someone else that looks
Really old, yeah.
I'm just curious. I know you will know this stuff because, like I said, look at Bret Hart, man, jacked. Oh my goodness, so much.
Hart Foundation had just lost the tag team titles at this point to Strikeforce.
Were you a fan of the Hart Foundation?
To some degree, yes, because I didn't like the British Bulldogs, and when I started watching wrestling in '86, that was their big feud. Sure. I liked the Harts more than the Bulldogs. I tell you, funny, the first live event I ever went to, it was a very rare heel versus heel tag team match. It was the Hart Foundation against Sheik and Volkov in August of '86 in Boston. Now, earlier in the year, Rick Martel was set to have a big run with Tom Zink and the Can-Am connection. I don't know if you remember the Can-Am connection.
Of course, yeah.
They had a feud coming into this pay-per-view with before Survivor Series with the Islanders, but Tom Zink walked out of the company in the middle of a big run. Come to find out, and this came out in one of our recent interviews, apparently one night at the hotel, the boys went down to the room that Zink and Martel were sharing, and when they went into the room wasn't the only thing that was being shared. And Tom Zink was so humiliated by that, he left the company. And he was a very good talent.
To think Rick Martel had a pretty nice run too, because that was just.
Oh, Rick Martel, he had a run long before I started watching in the early '80s.
Yep.
And then for his modern day run, he would have been there from '86. Right? What's that?
Was it AWA?
No, I'm talking about in WWF.
Oh, okay.
He was there in the early '80s, and then he came back probably '86 through '94. And then he was going to come back in '98 and get a relatively decent push during the Attitude Era. But if you remember, he went to WCW for a very short period of time, and he got injured. I think it might have been against Booker T, and it was a career-ending injury.
Yeah. Because he was supposed to come back with Don Callis. I heard on another podcast that he was supposed to come in with Don Callis in WWF. But then
the man that has been humiliated in this studio by so many people, Brian Blair.
Oh, yeah, by your boy Iron Sheik.
And Tony. And Marty.
What do you think of him?
He's always been nice to me in my interactions with him at the Cauliflower Alley Club, where he's the president of it now. It's just, I guess he's a polarizing type person where you either like him or you really don't like him. This saved Tito's career. The boys walking in on Tom Zink and Rick Martel in bed saved Tito's career. Tito at this point was basically doing Spanish commentary and working mid to undercard matches on the house show. The Strikeforce run really helped him. And then the feud that he'd wind up having with Martel in '89 after Martel returned and turned heel on him from an injury.
These guys are.
It looks real.
It's just unbelievable.
Imagine being at the arena, though, and trying to watch this match where you have 18 guys on the apron. It's 5-on-5,
you can't even see.
Yeah.
Like, these are all big men. Just in general, big guys. Not even just Jack. Like, whoa. The Young Stallions. Who is the guy that looks like Chris Masters?
I'm going to guess you mean Jim Powers. The one with the longer hair of the two?
Yeah, he looked like Chris Masters when
the
he was
one
coming
that's
up.
Between Dynamite and Tito? Yeah, that's Jim Powers. He was a good hand. He had a really long run as an undercard jobber.
See what I was like, to know wrestling back then, be this age and know wrestling back then would be.
But Demolition, what a year they would go on to have in '88. And two great guys. They were my favorites as kids. As a kid, how many kids could I be? But as a kid, and just great people, friends now. It's so cool to remember, I had their poster, they didn't make a Smash LJN figure. They only got to Axe before they discontinued the line. But now just to be friends that I email and text with, and it's an interesting life. But Volkov at this point was just so bad. Zukov was kind of the replacement for the Sheik when he got fired over getting arrested with the cocaine in May of '87. But look at this. You had 10 solid tag. The Young Stallions were kind of a jobber team, but 9 tag teams with credibility. Could you see that now in WWE?
Oh, there's not even, I don't even think there's 9 good tag teams.
Across all 3 brands. Yeah. Every one of these teams had credibility. And the Young Stallions, while they may have been undercard guys, jobbers, they were still very, 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 very good.
And they're big dudes, though, so, like, you didn't know. You wouldn't think they're going to lose. You know what I mean? You could see them maybe because they're big dudes and they look the part.
Well, I mean, if you were going to a house show, you knew they were going down for the 3 count.
Yeah, that depended on the face.
But they were still very good.
But look at them. Look at them.
There's my, who's that? Bill Eadie? Yep, Axe.
Did you like what they wore, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really looked at them as Road Warrior ripoffs like everybody else did. I mean, they were similar, but at that point, they were guys, a lot of guys had face paint. Maybe not spikes, too, but I mean, yeah, it was kind of an 80s look. If you just look at some of the rock and roll bands from that era.
Did you like when Crush joined them?
No.
No, that was when you weren't caring for them anymore?
And you know what? Axe was smart enough to know the writing was on the wall.
Okay.
And want it out. Look at that. Quick tags. Killer Bees.
Right
I mean, they weren't tag team championship material, but they had credibility. They were very solid in the ring. Bulldogs, one of the great tag teams in WWF history, WWE history. It's a shame what happened to poor Dynamite, where he was almost the innovator of the style that you see today.
I like the quick tags.
Yeah.
It makes more sense in a multi-man match like this. You know, now you see it today, you got guys fighting, and it's just, they just all have to get their little spots in.
Well, if we're making you enjoy your Thanksgiving Eve a little more with this, we're glad you're with us. The Super Chat is open, baby. eBay, the holiday season is here now. The great merchandise we have on this set and so much more. Help us keep the shows alive. We got that great WWE t-shirt bundle on bostonwrestling.com /shirts.html. Many WWF Legend t-shirts. Not only do you get the shirt for the same price as WWE shop, but you get that mystery autograph photo. You get a WWE cup and an on-air shout-out from Tony Atlas. You can't even, money can't buy that. Plus the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks toy drive. We just had 3 days of Marty Jannetty. What about Friday, December the 4th? What about Saturday, December the 5th? What about Sunday, December the 6th? What about Friday, December the 11th? When some of the legends from these great WWF pay-per-views joined Tony Atlas, Marty Jannetty, John Cena Sr., Mr. Sacco, Dave Carter, and myself on these shows. We got a lot cooking. We wish we could give you a live Paul Bearer Toy Drive wrestling event. We can't because of COVID, but we're going to do a cyber fan fest that's maybe a little different than how you've seen it done. Knock on wood, it's a success, even though that's not wood.
I was going to say, well.
Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, Dave, but I think you'd take great pride in the man that gave us this table. His nickname is PJ, PJ Goodhue. And the reason his nickname was PJ, because well into his 70s, he was a man whose tongue enjoyed a little bit of juice, so to speak. PJ.
Nice, PJ. All right. Thanks, PJ. Jesus, you guys.
Oh, I love PJ. PJ's got some stories, baby. That tongue of his, he could have been in a lesbian Olympics. The juice was loose. It was like a Starburst commercial. Married, single, it didn't make a difference to the man. He was always on the prowl.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
And the Rougeaus, you know what?
I love that.
Again,
you see that?
Never held the tag team titles, but they had credibility. They were very good. Even though most of the boys hate Jock. And there's Dynamite. Again, what a sad end of life that he had. For one of the great workers in WWF history.
beast.
He was, it's sad to say, he was almost done before he really began. He was so banged up, so hurt from the style that he worked. He took such a huge bump at WrestleMania 2 from the apron to the concrete floor that the camera didn't even pick up on, as I think they were trying to get a shot of Ozzy Osbourne. True story.
Really?
Yeah.
Real crazy train.
Yeah. I don't know if Sharon filleted, but
Probably.
look at Greg Valentine. They used to say it takes him 15 minutes to get warmed up. Is he tagged in yet? I don't even remember seeing the hammer in there yet.
Nope, he hasn't been.
Greg Valentine, a good, close personal friend, a woman that had Thanksgiving in reality with Greg, Annie the Ass Eater.
Oh, wow.
She had many feasts with Greg.
Baby.
In Greg, baby.
She's not like what?
She's not like those other whores, baby. I got this. I don't let the guys fuck me, baby. No, you just eat their ass, Annie. You're all class.
Come on. You guys are a mess.
Well, these are all true stories. And her sister claims Marty Jannetty's the father of one of her kids. It's a classy family.
It's a little
Crazy.
rocker.
The stories they must tell at their family holiday gatherings about ass eating and other rad experiences. But her and Greg were very close. She was
Very.
one of the few people that could put a smile on his face.
And somewhere else.
Dino Bravo was one of the worst regulars WWF ever had. He just looks like he can't move. He's so big.
Almost like Titus O'Neil.
Him and Ken Patera had one of the worst singles feuds I've ever seen. Yes, that's who he's the modern day equivalent of.
He just looks awkward
Yeah.
when he moves. Almost like his feet are in mud.
I never understood. And he had a significant push at times. I mean, he had a run with Warrior. He never had a singles feud with Hogan, but it was Hogan and Tugboat and Earthquake and Dino Bravo and tag teams. I never got it.
I'm sure you saw the Dino Bravo Dark Side of the Ring doc.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did too. They do some good work.
Their next season's going to be really good.
Now, I don't want to say who, but a friend of his that's a friend of mine knew much more about the story that they went into on that documentary. You know, at his peak, he was making $40,000 a week on those cigarettes, which is
What?
much more than he was making in wrestling.
It's unbelievable.
And do you want to know why? And I don't think they get into the documentary, but the supposed, in his inner circle of friends, the reason he got offed was because not once, but twice, the truckload of cigarettes got stolen.
I think they
Now,
mentioned
you
that
can
in the doc,
understand
though.
it happening once,
yeah.
but twice?
No.
While you're making 40 grand a week already?
Yeah.
That's greed.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's greed. And I really don't know much about him. I don't know. I obviously never met him. He died about 6 months before I got involved in wrestling. So I really can't say too much about him other than those stories that I know. And other than watching him, I didn't think he was very good. He always bored me.
Look at the excellence of execution, huh?
He was excellent.
He was.
I guess that's
one
the
of
best
your
way to
favorites.
What's the
describe him.
nickname you gave me yesterday? Something of execution.
Did I?
I don't know if it had to do with my socks or not.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
You like Bret Hart?
I do like Bret Hart. I think he was a great tag team wrestler. I think he had a great run as a singles wrestler.
He's one of
What
the
I don't get is how didn't the Young Stallions were more than what they were? Look at, they're both, you know what I'm saying?
And I really don't know either one of them, but I've been told by others in different interviews I've done, they didn't get along. I mean, they really disliked each other, and I think that caused the...
Just because they're the look, you know what I mean? They're the look they have. You figure
Yeah.
they would have been, I mean, they're friggin'
I mean,
unreal.
Paul Roma wasn't an awful promo. He went on to have somewhat of a push when him and Hercules teamed up as Power and Glory in
Yep.
90 and 91. Jim Powers was, I really don't remember him being much of a promo, but no, you think, if you looked at them on in a magazine, you'd think this is a team that would be one of their stars,
Right.
but not so much.
Dan knows the backstory of stuff I'm not talking about.
Not like Annie, but
No, not that.
but not that backstory, no. And the Groveler referee is back.
I was just
didn't
going to
even
say, you
notice
just
that.
slid in there. Made that... Jesus.
Came out of the garbage can for this match.
I'll say this, the Hart Foundation and Strikeforce went on to have a really big feud from the fall of '87, right up on the house shows up until WrestleMania 4, when Strikeforce dropped the tag titles to Demolition in Atlantic City. Boston at one point got a 6-man steel cage match, very rare. It was the Hart Foundation and Honky against Macho Man and Strikeforce.
Wow.
March of '88 was in Boston. We had that one. Right before WrestleMania, when Harley Race was squashed by the Ultimate Warrior.
Come down to the wire here.
It really is coming down to the wire. Right now left you have for the fans that may be newer, the team in the red, the Young Stallions and the British Bulldogs, and the Killer Bees are left for the babyface side on the heels. You have the Hart Foundation, Haku and Tom of the Islanders, and the New Dream Team, which wasn't much to dream about, but what are you going to do?
Is this first time in the match? Second time?
He was wishing
Look at
he was in
vicious
Boston.
elbow.
He was wishing he was in Boston. I'll tell you this, though. You talk about a guy that had a great run in that company, Mike. Another one that was there. Valentine had to have been there. He left in early 92, I think. And he was there in the early 80s. Well, no, he left a couple of times to work different territories. But I'm pretty sure he was there nonstop from 84 through 92.
It's crazy, because how old was like a Valentine right now?
Oh, he's another one that looked ancient.
I was just going to say.
He's probably in his... in 87? That's what, 33 years ago from now? He would have been mid-30s.
It's crazy to me, because like he wouldn't pass 50 years, at least 50. Look at that face.
And his last wrestling appearance was only about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. But Harley Race and Andre were the two to me that always... If you asked me, I would have thought they were in their 60s.
It just blows my mind, somebody like Greg, because I remember him in WCW, you know what I'm saying? I thought he was like 60.
I'm trying to think of anybody today that looks like that.
No one. Nobody.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's just so crazy
It's all
to me.
cosmetic now.
It's unbelievable. There's not one person I'd say that doesn't look their age. If they're anything, they look younger.
Yeah, like someone like...
even look at Jericho. Jericho's what, 40-something? He doesn't look like he's in his 50s.
I think he's had a little work done. But I mean,
you know what I'm saying,
Even
though.
someone like Finn, he's only a year younger than me, believe it or not.
Yeah, crazy.
He doesn't look that
even
old.
AJ Styles, he's what?
He's he's older than me.
Yeah. And he
Cena looks younger.
You? Oh, John Cena.
Yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Even Triple H, when he gets in there, everyone's... Batista, like, they don't look as old as like this, like, to, you know?
They look like men.
I wonder how old the referee was in this match.
Oh, man, he's got to be 50 plus. Look at him.
He's had some
He looks like he's
garbage
wearing a
years on him.
toupee. It's
He's
like,
exhausted. I don't know why they did.
He's got his own dome.
They had so many referees in and out of the ring. I don't know why they didn't put someone else in there.
he wants to get paid.
Paul's got a little afro going on. Paul has a little heat with the man to your right.
I won't comment.
Why?
Yeah, a
When the
little heat
cameras
with
turn
Paul
off, we can
Wall.
talk about it. But
Would you do something mean to him?
supposedly to him I did, but
You didn't shake his hand?
a whole nother story.
Okay, well, we'll have to find out after.
No, they had a kind of an on. Their interactions weren't limited to one time.
Well, hold that thought and let me know after this.
This is the hammer. Looks
I'm
like he's
curious.
headed up to the top.
Look at this.
taking his time, but
Gorilla, high-risk move.
it certainly was.
Drop the hammer
It's a
on it.
high-risk
So I wonder
maneuver.
what a high-risk move Gorilla would say this time around if he was around now.
Like, I don't think Gorilla couldn't handle it.
See, I like that. Him making the tag, scrambling for it.
Yeah.
Now it's like they make a big production out of it. Is he going to get there? Is he going to get there? It's just
Do it.
Too much theatrical stuff going on today.
And at ringside, for the managers, you still have Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, and the luscious one, Johnny Valiant. Love the way Brett took the turnbuckle. Always did, always will. I don't know why someone today doesn't try and do that.
Do you like the way Ric Flair used to take when he used to do the thing and then flip over the top, walk,
The
and then
flip?
fall? Yeah.
He wasn't the only one that did
But
that.
did you like when he would do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
always
think when it
stood out to
happened in
me.
every match, it was a little much, but
It always
I
stood out
liked
to
the
me.
spot.
Yeah.
I don't understand why no one in wrestling has ever said, you know what, why don't I take the turnbuckle like Brett used to?
I know, right? It is. It's cool looking.
Brian Blair, who avoided being humbled by the Iron Sheik at WrestleMania 3 earlier in '87.
Has Brian Blair been in here?
No,
No. I'm surprised.
no. We'll call that interview, Why Does Everyone Hate Me? I don't know.
That'd be perfect for you.
I'd love to. Thanks, little. Whoever
Sorry, I
kicked
didn't know.
it.
I
I'm
did. I
sorry,
didn't know
I'll
it was
get
down there.
I don't want to make a mess. No, I'd love to. All joking aside, I'd love to talk to Brian. He had a very interesting career.
Uh-huh.
There were very few people
I know
that
he
I
lives
wouldn't.
in Tampa now because I've seen the signs for him out on like yards when I was living there.
When he was a politician,
Yeah.
yeah. There's very few guys I would not want to have in here. Everyone
Get
that's still
Haku or
alive.
Ming, whichever one you want to call him in here.
I've spoken to Haku before.
I would love you to get him in there. Be awesome.
Even though Neidhart was a former enemy of mine, I would have had him in here.
Get his daughter.
To talk about what?
Him.
Well,
Let's look at her beautifulness.
Oh boy. I don't know how much of that there is, but
Oh my God, she's smoking.
well, I don't know if I'd use that description, but
She is. She's a beautiful woman.
she'll have your pants on.
Look at this. Here we go. Whoa, that was awesome. That's impressive too, because he didn't even, you know what I mean? He literally just picked him up from the ground.
Almost looked like Tony Atlas.
That was nice. Is that Dynamite? I can't even see the face.
no, that's Davey Boy.
Okay, I couldn't
Davey
see.
Boy was prohibited from doing that while Tony was there, because that was kind of Tony's finisher. But Tony was gone by '87. Tony would have been, I think,
got
in
a nice
world
mullet.
class in '87.
Do you like Davey Boy Smith?
Oh yeah.
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 Is it someone you could have made a champion, you think?
No.
No.
But upper mid card, lower.
Love that move when he would do
Yeah.
that. They don't do, no one does that anymore.
Braun Strowman does.
I'm talking about regular. He's a monster though. He's not a monster. I meant like, you know.
Yeah, Davey Boy, I don't even think is 6 feet
That's
tall.
what I'm saying. Obviously, you're going to see a monster do. I'm talking about somebody his size do a move like that. That was nice looking. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's shades of your boy.
I met Davey Boy a few times, a really funny guy, nice guy. I think I have his autograph.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, they attempted to make him a main eventer as a heel, and it didn't work well. He had a couple of In Your House main events in '95 on pay-per-view.
Yep, I remember those.
And in '96, he had, I believe, 2 world title main events with Shawn Michaels.
See, I remember him as a singles. I don't remember him as the British Bulldogs as much because obviously I was too young.
Oh,
but-
yeah, they were gone by '88.
Yeah, I remember him more of a singles. That's why I was curious what your thoughts were.
No, I always liked Davey Boy. How his career came to an end was such a shame.
Oh, WCW,
Getting injured
man.
in a trap door in a ring. And for the man to pass away before he was 40 years old is just sad. Sad. He was a nice guy. He may not have been someone that could have been the face of the company, but he was a great part of the package that was the company.
I'm surprised his son hasn't done more with WWE.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because of
Makes you think. Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think he's much younger than Davey Boy was when Davey Boy died. at this point.
Right. Good hammer coming in with the elbows. I love it.
The new Dream Team was terrible. Valentine and Beefcake had some good chemistry together. These two together, well, it didn't last long, so. This may have been the end of the new Dream Team, now that I think back to it. Because both of them were in singles in the tournament at WrestleMania 4 to crown a new champion, and Dino would become managed by Frenchie Mott.
Who's the right there outside with the glasses on?
The manager?
Yeah.
Luscious Johnny V.
Okay.
Former WWF Tag Team Champion.
Okay.
I believe he went to school with Vince McMahon.
Oh, really? Wow.
And they were friends, which is why he had such a long run with the company.
Good for him. Nice. Oh, so he's in always.
Well, he's dead now.
I mean, he was always in. Like, Jesus.
Poor Johnny V tried to cross a highway WrestleMania weekend. I don't remember which, within the past couple of years, and he got ran over by a tractor trailer. So
Jesus.
And that's how he died?
It wasn't a very luscious end.
In a car? Or?
No, he was he tried to run across the highway,
Must have
and
been
the truck
nighttime.
could.
What I don't get is, what was he, drunk? How close was the damn truck when he thought he could do it?
I wasn't there, believe it or not.
I'm
I was at
surprised.
WrestleMania.
Next time you got to be there.
I was probably with you, or you were around.
What WrestleMania?
One of the ones within the past couple of years, because I remember I was in a hotel when I read it. And he, not only would he manage, but he'd still wrestle in undercard matches a lot of the times too.
Okay. I think it's almost that time for me.
Well, I think I know what that means.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to wait till the end of them? Really?
There's still a bunch of guys in there.
All right, well, you got to remember, though, every elimination counts as two.
Oh.
You think Greg did that before Annie? Or maybe she did that to him.
Baby.
How you doing, baby? No, I like this
that.
finish. He missed a good spot right there because he couldn't hold his urine. Either that or he's going in to go on one of those apps. Oh, wait. Oh.
What?
We know, yes. I just got a text message from a certain superstar about joining us here in the studio.
Current?
No.
No.
I
Yeah.
told you what happened with my attempt at some of the current ones that I wanted last night, but we won't talk about that on Thanksgiving Eve. That is business. This is the holidays. We're getting ready to enjoy. I'm still on the manhunt for the PlayStation 5 for baby Mirade for Christmas. I'll be out there like a goof on Black Friday with those people to save $20.
Well, either way,
What?
still look like a goof.
All right, well, thank you. So not much will change. I don't really know what the hot things are on the list. As we're taping this about a month ahead of time, the afternoon of Hell in a Cell, to have it ready for you on Thanksgiving Eve. So I don't know what some of the hot Christmas items are going to be this year. I know the PlayStation is certainly going to be one.
The new iPhone 12, I guess?
Well, that's going to go for over $1,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's an expensive gift, kid.
Paid off monthly.
Well, yeah.
What are we talking
See,
about?
I like to pay cash for things. I've paid no credit card debt in
No
years.
paper trail.
No, not even that. I mean, I use my credit card tremendously, but I like to pay it off the day I use it. Then that way you get the airline miles. You gotta whore them out, baby.
I was just about to say that.
It's almost like they pay me to use their cards. If I don't have the money for it, I don't buy it. But I use the credit cards to get the rewards out of it.
I thought it was coming down to the wire, but it really slowed down.
You missed a great finish for the elimination of the Dream Team.
Oh, who's
while
that?
you were gone. Well, Greg was going for the figure 4 on Jimmy Powers, but he didn't see the tag to Paul Roma. Paul hit a sunset flip off the top rope to pin the Hammer.
Wow, and you told me the Stallions were, wow, they actually got a pin?
They got the pin. Anything could happen at the Survivor Series.
He got
the final team eliminated at Survivor Series 88 when they did the great double turn between Powers of Pain and Demolition. It actually came down to the Powers of Pain and the Conquistadors.
The Conquistadors.
Who I don't think ever won a match. Even though they were an undercard jobber team, I don't know if they ever won a match.
Wow.
I'm sure once in a blue moon, they'd win an undercard match against a couple of jobbers, but they would never beat anyone with any credibility. That's why it was kind of cool. They'd do that at Survivor Series. Sometimes you'd find guys that were unexpected being the last ones eliminated. Jim Brunzell, former tag team partner in the AWA of Mr. USA Tony Atlas. In a title change that was never recognized at their peak, Tony Atlas and Jim Brunzell beat the Road Warriors in the mid-'80s. But Vince McMahon tricked Tony into going back to the WWF and leave the AWA. So they said, well, I don't think we'll put this one on TV, I guess. And the Road Warriors continued to hold that title. Poor Tony. He was in a good spot in the AWA, and he went back to WWF to become a mid-card guy at best.
Is he very upset with that?
I'm sure at different times he has been.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a happy-go-lucky person nowadays, as we know.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
But, I mean, the Road Warriors, at that point in their career, were like a tag team of Goldberg in 98.
All right.
For them to do a job to anybody, and then for Vince McMahon to trick Tony into going back to WWF. Because what happened was, while he was with AWA, he got a big money offer to do a tour of, I think it was Africa, from WWF, and he asked Vern Gagne if he could go and do the international tour. So he said, okay, go ahead and then come back. Well, the return ticket from Africa was to WWF's TV taping in Canada. So Tony went and now, Vince, I thought I was going to go back and work for Vern. And Vince said, oh, no. I worked it out with Vern. You're going to be coming back here, Tony. And that phone call never happened.
So it was just all
So he just, in reality, even though he didn't realize it, Tony just walked off on AWA after they had him go over on the Road Warriors.
Wow.
Only Tony. Only Tony.
Did he miss out on a lot of money, too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have a good run when he went back to WWF at that point. He was at mid-card, even undercard.
Oh, that stinks for him then. Absolutely.
He wasn't the type of guy that you'd see lose on TV, really. But on the house shows, yeah. And he certainly wasn't. I mean, Tony was one of the top of the heap in WWF from almost the moment he debuted until he walked off to be walked on by a woman in California the first time they were going to give him the tag team titles. And they still gave him the tag team titles when he came back, but, it's just drugs are a bitch. And for the fans that are donating during the Super Chat, thank you for the drink. I appreciate this. A little zibba-zabba, a little gimmick for old Marty. Loosen the back up as I suffer from CRPS and the 2 crushed discs in my back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The Super Chat is open. Don't forget to tip the bartender, please. But we're having fun. And I don't want to say who, but someone had made a comment to me not too long ago about how nice these shows are for those that are lonely at the holiday times. Those that may not have a family Thanksgiving.
Well, we're into their family now.
Well, we're part of the family.
Yeah.
Even though Marty will be with us Thanksgiving night, you don't have to watch this necessarily on Thanksgiving Eve. But a surprise elimination there of the Heart Foundation. who, again, just a couple of weeks before this event, were the tag team champions.
I'm excited for the main event as well.
You really don't care about this tag team.
No, I am, but I'm excited for the main event. That's going to be good, you know?
The main event is coming as part of the Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, kid.
There you go.
That Cyber Fanfest we're having. All of the plethora of superstars headed to MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of champions, 02176.
He's just ref. His shirt came
Can't even
undone.
tuck his shirt in at this point.
Oh, no, he's
Looks like
he's
he
soaked through it.
He must have gone shopping with Quincy at the thrift stores. Maybe we should incorporate a Thanksgiving greeting from Quincy. No, you know what? That would upset someone that I don't want to be hey brothered by. So maybe we'll skip that. But the Islanders are down. They're the last team on that side. Bobby Heenan is beside himself.
What do you think of their gear, Haku and Tama?
Good. You know, they looked alike. They
You
dressed
like that?
alike.
Yeah.
They worked alike.
No shoes, that doesn't
They
bother you?
were, no, I mean, it fit the gimmick.
Cool.
No, I was really surprised when Tama left in 1988. They were in the middle of I mentioned a big feud with the British Bulldogs where they stole, I don't know if you're familiar with Matilda,
Yeah,
the dog, yeah.
English
They,
bulldog.
and then to really be jerks, Bobby Heenan would come out with a dog leash with no dog on it, pretending like he was walking Matilda. And then at WrestleMania 4, in one of the great outfits, it was the Bulldogs and Coco Beware against the Islanders and Bobby Heenan in a six-man tag. And they had forced Bobby and the Islanders to give the dog back. And they had the pit bull chase Bobby, but Bobby had on almost looked like a beekeeper's outfit. So if it bit him, you know, he
Yeah,
couldn't
I remember
sink
that.
the teeth
Yeah,
into it.
I
Oh,
remember
that was
that.
great, yeah. And
That
then
is-
Tama left not too long after WrestleMania 4.
And never know.
And I have no idea why.
Wow.
And I'm usually good with that type of
Yeah,
stuff
that's
from
it.
that era.
Yep.
They brought in CV Afi to try and replace him for a little bit. But CV Afi, after the Jimmy Snuka incident,
Right.
they brought in CV Afi almost to be the new Jimmy Snuka, like they brought in Corporal Kirchner to try and be the new Sergeant Slaughter in the
Yeah.
mid-'80s, thinking they could almost recast them. It didn't work. And then a couple of years after they tried CV Afi turned into an undercard guy. He'd be almost like S.D. Jones, a jobber that would get a win from
I was
time
going
to
to say,
time.
yeah, little wins.
They tried to bring CV Afi in to replace Tama, but people remembered him for who he was. So that's when they turned Haku into the King in the summer of '88 as a single.
And it just never worked? Is that, or do you think it worked a little bit, the King
I
gimmick?
thought he had a decent...
Yeah.
I mean, as a single, I think Haku was a good mid-card guy. He was definitely not a main eventer, but he was a good, solid mid-card guy.
And a good guy to have on your side, I guess, too.
Yeah.
I always hear about.
You know, the Samoans, they are, a lot of them are dangerous, badass people, but if you treat them with respect and friendship, they'll treat you the same way.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Yeah, I heard that. I used to hear the stories.
They are known to enjoy free meals, but, you know, so are a lot of the people here at the studio. And friends from Auburn, Maine. Can the Islanders survive the Young Stallions and the Killer Bees? Probably, if you were going to rank the 5 babyface teams from 1 to 5, 1 would have been Strikeforce as the tag team champions, 4 would have been the Killer Bees, and 5 would have been the Young Stallions. But here they are, still surviving.
Yep.
These teams of 5 striving to survive.
Boom.
Mr. Sacco has been quiet over there, watching his friend Pool, as he calls him.
I don't want to say anything.
He doesn't like Pool.
I need to know that story.
I'm going to take it you don't want Pool to ever come to the studio for a show.
Not much to talk about for him, so.
No. Very wrong. Very wrong. Even though he didn't have a stellar main event career in that company, he was around from 85 through early 92. That's a long run.
It's great for him.
I mean, he wasn't, again, he was an undercard guy for most of that run, but, you know, I bet you the stories would be endless.
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 7 years, endless.
7 years of doing jobs.
Yeah.
What was your 30-second match against the Legion of Doom at WrestleMania 7 like, Poole? But he still did it. He was still there, you know?
And then getting shit on by the Four Horsemen.
Well, that was a different company.
I know that. I'm just saying, in his career.
I will never forget Paul Roma being introduced as a member of the Four Horsemen and the literal shock that went through my eyes. Were you old enough to have been a fan? You must have been a fan at that point.
I know Paul Roma, yeah, of course.
But I mean, do you remember when they brought him into the Four Horsemen in WCW in '93? Mm-hmm. There were rumors going about that Tully Blanchard was finally going to come back to wrestling, which didn't happen until AEW, to show you how long ago that was.
Yeah.
But no, it was Paul. I guess Tully wanted too much money. Tully always wanted a lot of money. That didn't help his cause.
I was going to say, no, couldn't have.
Beautiful drop kick. One thing about that man, Jim Brunzell, he had one of the prettiest drop kicks you'll ever see in wrestling. And he's not a slight cruiserweight guy. He might not look like a giant on this TV screen right now, but everybody in WWE was thicker. Now there was that twin Killer Bee magic. The Killer Bees sometimes would take off their masks or put their masks on, and you didn't know who was who. And look at who survived. The two, a mid and an undercard team. The Young Stallions and the Killer Bees. Let me tell you.
He's crazy.
I'll tell you, the referee's probably the most tired-looking person.
I know, he was just about to fall over.
I was absolutely shocked that these two teams won.
Really?
Well, because again, if you were going to rank those teams from 1 to 5, you'd say Strikeforce, British Bulldogs, Rougeos, Killer Bees, Young Stallions.
And were you happy with them doing that back then, or was you disappointed?
I thought it added an element of surprise to the event. I don't think I really cared either way, but I was really surprised. I couldn't believe it.
And that's what we miss nowadays, is the surprise. What
How many times today are you surprised about stuff? I was talking about that to him earlier. They need to have a shock factor in wrestling today to make people think what's going to happen tonight. Everything's predictable.
Right. So true.
But just all three of these matches thus far have been enjoyable. You know, if you really wanted to break it down outside of the women, you know, there were feuds. All of these different teams and singles guys in the opening match, they had different feuds going on with each other. Even with the women, you had the tag team. You had Cherry and Moolah, fresh off of the women's title change. They just weren't thrown together for nothing. There was a rhyme and reason to it. And there you have two of the best, Jesse Ventura and the late, great Gorilla Monsoon. Mm-hmm. You want to know what I like about Gorilla Monsoon? I had a chance to meet him a couple of times over the years, but the first time we went to the Cauliflower Alley Club was when they had a rare Northeastern one, and he drove from his home in New Jersey, and his license plate, you know what his license plate said?
What?
Kayfabe.
Oh, I like that.
And this, fans, is the early days of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
My favorite.
He had wrestled in Boston at least once at this point. He'd been around, but they didn't bother to put him on the pay-per-view. The mega push hadn't begun yet.
My favorite old timer. Oh my God, I love Ted DiBiase.
A man that's been here in this studio.
I never got to meet you.
I don't know where the hell you. Oh, you must have been in Florida for that. I know you would have been down here for that. I hope you bring him in
at some point because I love this. This is my favorite right here.
He was part of the biggest match in the history of wrestling. February 5th, 1988, when he managed Andre the Giant against Hulk Hogan on NBC's main event. 33 million strong, baby. How many watched Raw last week?
1.8.
33 million people watched Hogan and Andre.
That's crazy. That's like Super Bowl, like, you know what I mean?
Well, not quite, but I mean...
but like comparing it to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's in the same league, yeah.
Look at Virgil.
These vignettes were great. I don't know if you've ever seen these, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you have.
I have.
This is what I loved it, man.
He did one with... you know what? I'm going to see if they show it, and then I'm going to ask you if you recognize him. No, he got blown up a little. But he didn't get the $100.
That kid's mad at him.
And this was pitched to him as, when they brought him to Connecticut for the meeting to come into the company, they wouldn't tell him what it was.
Really?
They wouldn't tell him what this was, but Pat Patterson said to him, if Vince McMahon was to ever wrestle, this is the gimmick he would give himself.
So it's perfect. And you know what? Vince would do a great job with it too, I think.
Yeah.
I love this. Is this the one we...
Now, I thought these were kind of mean to do to the kids.
I loved it.
This kid started crying, I believe. This kid looks scared out of his mind.
I love it, man. He's bouncing. Oh, God, this is great.
He almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
I love it. He kicks
Look how
it.
sad that kid is.
You thought he was going to go to the merchandise stand.
I'm sure they gave them something.
He probably gave him the Hulk Hogan shirt for free.
I wonder how the parents felt. They were probably
He goes
heated.
back to his family right now. He walks down the steps.
They were probably more heated than, what do you call it, he was. They're probably like, shit, he could have got $500.
Was that what it was? Was it 500?
Yeah, that's what he said. I'll give you $500.
Oh, I thought it was 100.
Virgil was a beast.
Well, I guess they're not going to show it, but in one of those skits, if you go back and watch all of them, when he would offer the fans the money to do things, I think a teenage Rob Van Dam
Yeah,
was
I've
one
seen
of them.
that one.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my surprises has been wasted.
He was awesome, man. I loved $1 Million Man. I would love to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Rob
I
Van Dam,
hope.
didn't he recently post that again too? That
I don't
picture of
know.
him
I
doing
have
it?
no idea.
I don't know. Oh, I love that.
A message
Everything
from
about this.
Cecil the Lion.
Oh, is he coming down?
Not today.
Oh, he doesn't want to join the Thanksgiving Day fun?
Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve.
I don't
sorry.
know what lions have for Thanksgiving.
Gazelle?
What?
This one almost looks
You
kind of
could
like
never do that nowadays, though. That woman on her hands and knees.
looks like Linda McMahon on crack.
Oh, why does she keep on? Look how long her neck is. Why does she keep on moving her head like?
She's a chicken.
I remember this, but I don't remember this woman looking like Linda McMahon the way she did. Well, you want to hear a funny fact about that man to the left?
What's that?
He was Ultimate Warrior's limo driver here in the Boston area,
Really?
and he has Matilda buried in his backyard. I guess the Bulldogs, they got tired of Matilda. Is that Rob Van Dam?
No.
No. Well, anyway. Yeah, I guess when the Bulldogs, they were up here and they got tired of Matilda, and they gave him the dog. And
Really?
he kept it, and it died, and he buried it in his backyard. Yeah. That's
awesome.
He was the Warriors limo driver. So I'm going to guess they taped this vignette in Connecticut.
Southwestern?
Perhaps. Perhaps. Is that one of the Jumping Bomb Angels pouring the water? I don't know.
Too much.
Oh, I have too much fun sometimes.
Just a little.
I love this one. This was one of my favorite when he threw all the kids out of the pool.
Virgil.
Virgil was jacked out of his mind back then.
Virgil's one of the few I don't know if I could have here in the studio. He's a little much.
If you give him some meat sauce,
He
I'll
thinks
give you.
he's
I'll
like-
never forget Tony Atlas giving him my phone number the weekend of.
Remember him waiting?
Oh, you were that's right. You
So,
were there. Yes,
I was
yes,
with you. What
yes,
happened?
that's right.
That was a crazy story. So he's in the lobby. Dan's like, I gotta go. You distract him. All of a sudden he's sitting there and he won't stop talking to me. And Dan's texting me, is he gone?
And me
is
and
he
Zeb
gone?
Coulter
Is he
snuck.
gone?
Me
Yeah.
and Zeb Coulter snuck in the side door
Yeah,
to the
and
hotel.
Oh, you told me about that.
Oh,
I
did
was
I?
stuck
Yeah.
talking to Virgil for 15 minutes. Dan kept going, is he gone? Is he gone? I'm like, no, and he won't stop talking.
What about the little Dutch boy from Holland? Where was he at that point?
I think he went with you guys. I don't remember him. Maybe he was there with me, but I just remember him talking and talking.
He would have been scared of Virgil.
Oh, it was too much. Now, these cars, were these personal cars of Vince McMahon, or were they just rented, or what?
I don't know.
I was just curious, because I know a
I
lot
could
of it
see
was...
that being one in the McMahon home.
Yeah. Were these all done in Connecticut? A lot of them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it.
Maybe they were done in Milford.
Certainly, it might not be the zip code of champions, but there's a lot of champions in Milford.
Living in Connecticut, have you ever went to the Vince McMahon house? Have you ever went past it?
The house?
Yeah, where he lives.
That's in Greenwich.
But have you ever been?
No.
No, I didn't know.
No,
You went by.
it's a gated area.
Right, but just drive down the street or whatever.
Oh, near where it is? I see what you mean.
Have you ever been? No,
I don't know exactly where he lives. I know people who've been to his
you're
house
a
doing...
Connecticut guy.
Yeah, Connecticut, yeah.
Look at this. I love
I'm going to
it.
respond to this message really quick.
Go ahead. I love this. Look at this. Two of the best, like you said. Right there. Do you like the snakeskin coat that Jesse Ventura is wearing?
It's a little exotic, but I like it. I like when the announcers have personality. The announcers now have no personality. They're all bland. They add nothing to the product. These guys add to the product. They have a character in a good way. And it's good for the show itself. You know, you have the guys now. Coming up next, so-and-so versus so-and-so. And then they go to commercial. They have this type of stuff between them. They bounce back and forth. It's not scripted like they feed them lines
This
today.
is such a long thing, though, like a whole thing. Was this another intermission or something? Because
No, but they're trying
This
to
has been
fill
going
a
on for 10
3-hour.
minutes.
They're trying to fill a 3-hour pay-per-view with four matches.
It just dawned on me. That's why I was wondering,
And it
because it's
ended up
between
being-
them talking and then showing all those vignettes with the $1 Million Man. I was just curious because this is just long. WWE would never do this nowadays.
But it's funny because these fans.
Could there be a sixth superstar added today to the
Really?
Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, in addition to Tony Atlas, Marty Jannetty, and Johnny Hay Brother Sr.
Will you let people know?
Oh, we're going to be making announcements. But if I haven't made the announcements by the time Survivor Series Thanksgiving Eve comes around, Marty's 3 days here will have been done at that point.
Oh.
I'll probably be breathing. I'll really have something to be thankful for.
You'll be thinking about the turkey.
3 days of Marty in a row.
3 days of Marty.
The Marty. Now you're going to join us for the Survivor Series 2020 watch along with Marty.
I will.
All right.
I
good.
will.
Something that, again, that'll also be over by the time this airs, but
We'll see who was better, Raw or SmackDown.
yeah, another one of those boring competitions on
You
rosters.
think that's how they're going to do it again?
Seems to be how they always do it.
Yeah, I don't know if
a
they'd
month
switch it
after
up.
they reset the brands, when there's almost no there's nothing familiar about them. Let me focus on my message.
Yeah, you do your message. We're going to... Here we go. It's the main event.
If you take away the interviews, the entrances, and the little chicanery in between each match and segment, whatever, this show's, in terms of the wrestling, what, an hour and a half? Hour and 45? Maybe 2 hours?
Good stuff, though.
Oh, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's just funny that it's 2 hours and 44 minutes, and how much of it is in ring.
That tag team match had to have been 40 minutes.
This is going to be 40 minutes. So I think there's still like a good 40 minutes left in the event.
Imagine.
Can we make a little magic happen here?
Imagine this today. If this was going on, everybody's going to be on
crowds
their
will be on
phones.
their phone, booing, everything, just to get something. No one has patience. Then they were just excited, whatever's happening.
Everyone's energy was just bottled up. People were ready for the show.
Right on, absolutely.
Just imagine this today. People be just angry, sitting on their phones. When is this going to be over? How many times do we think now, watching it, when is this going to be over? The people are probably thinking right now, let's go, I'm excited type of feeling. Now it's just get it over with, get it off my screen. These fans are anticipating.
Not for me.
The big man event. Well,
I enjoy everything.
you and the other 1.5 million people.
Honestly, I know, we disagree a lot and whatever, but I'm happy that you enjoy wrestling as much as you do nowadays. I wish there were more people that did.
Me too. Whenever I see someone, a kid or anything wearing wrestling, I'm always asking questions because it just brings me back. Because, like you said, it's tough to find people that love it.
You don't meet a lot of people who watch it week to week. You get people, I watch sometimes.
Well, here's the thing is, I wear a wrestling shirt every day still. Like, I don't see many people wear them at all anymore. Like, when I was younger, during the Attitude, everything.
As I said before, when the show started, everybody's wearing wrestling shirts. You go to a wrestling event now, I mean, you still wear a lot, but it's...
As they say, like, one kid that's not, he's wearing, like, a dress shirt. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Even now, it's just you don't see much merchandise.
Dan, who is that?
What?
Right there.
Craig DeGeorge.
Okay. Because I've been waiting for them to put the name up, but no, it hasn't been.
I don't remember this.
What is this? A little performance?
Something I don't remember.
What do we got here? He's cool, he's cocky, he's bad, huh? I'll tell you one thing. All this watching is making me a little hungry.
I'm starving.
Yes.
Well, the good thing is we should have a little intermission before, what are we watching tonight? Hell in a Cell.
So the pre-show starts in not even an hour.
I'm trying to negotiate here, sir, please.
Please. Well,
I'm sure they'll announce some last-minute kickoff show match for Hell in a Cell tonight.
I looked.
Forget about a kickoff show. They need to announce more matches for the show.
Well, no, I think it's literally going to be over like it always is, 9:30, 9:45.
Yeah, that's only for the better.
Because the Hell in a Cell matches are going to be like a half hour each.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Reigns and... Well, we shouldn't be talking about that anyway. Look at this.
Well, let's see what we get here, folks.
Honky Tonk Man with a promo. Do you think Jimmy Hart with Hogan back then would have been good?
It's a baby face?
Yeah, if they changed it. No, he didn't need it, right?
He didn't need him in 93.
I was just going to say, he never really needed him, yeah. Here we go. Finally, I think we're kicking off with the match. I would love to hear Hogan's entrance
main event
right
time,
now.
baby.
I would love to hear Hogan's entrance.
Who do you guys have in the main event as teams of 5 strive to survive?
You love that.
I thought it was a nice, catchy slogan.
Yep.
Once they went to 1989, it was teams of 4.
You know why they don't do that? I just thought of it because they don't have enough people in the crowd to show that. I just thought about that, which is sad. It always makes me so sad when I go to a show.
That guy in the blue, he looks like he's ready to leave. He's had about enough of Survivor Series. He wants to go home and have a little pie. But WWF TV tapings, I'll say this, back in those days, they could be a little tough, where there were such gaps, and if you'd go to a Superstars or a Challenge taping, sometimes it'd legitimately be 35 matches on one show. That could be a long night to sit through.
I love it. There we go, Big King Kong.
Especially when you don't have like a cell phone or anything like that to kind of just check.
Distract you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not answering.
Is that the puppet?
No.
Oh.
King Kong Bundy, one of my favorites from when I was a youngin'.
One of the first wrestlers I ever met.
You mentioned that, yeah?
Yeah, one of the first. Him and Jimmy Superfly Snuka. 2 of the first ones I ever met. Oh my God, I thought it was the best thing in the world.
Rick Rude was very new to WWF at this time.
Did you like Rick Rude when he first, or was he?
I was never a big Rick Rude fan.
Do you respect like what he did? Or?
I respect Rick Rude, but he was never someone that I really looked forward to seeing.
I loved his tights. Always the theme with the events. I always liked it.
Almost like Velveteen Dream.
You love Velveteen Dream, though.
Me?
Yeah. You're a big fan of him.
What makes you say that?
Because you're a young boy still. And he likes...
I'm 20. He likes him much younger than 20,
there
I'll tell you
he is.
that.
Look at
He's old for Velveteen.
There he is. That's your boy.
Butch Reed was the man that coulda, shoulda been Honky Tonk Man. His 1987 could have been a lot different if he didn't no-show that TV taping when they needed to get the belt off of Ricky Steamboat ASAP.
Crazy.
Is the gang? I'd love to have him in the studio. Stories he has from his illustrious career in and out of WWF.
Man, Rick Rude was a beast.
Andre.
I love this.
Making him seem important. And there are people, I'm sure, with Google and Wikipedia that can search this, but I think this was only his second match in 1987. I know it's, oh no, wait, you know what? Third, because he was in a battle royal on Saturday night's main event.
How old was Andre the Giant then?
Well, only in his late 30s.
It's his size that made him look just so deteriorated.
I knew it was that, but I was just wondering how old he was, because,
The poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you know what? In 87, I think he might have been just at 40.
And the pain he must have been in.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked painful just trying to get up in that ring. Whew.
In that documentary, they show his knees and just,
Yeah.
it's crazy just how broken down he was. I mean, when you're that big.
Did you watch the one on HBO?
Yeah, it was a good documentary.
Here's Patera
look at
Rastani.
this. Look at Hogan.
I wonder how high they were at this point of the night.
On their bowls of cocaine.
Oh, and he's got the old WWE. Wow. Look at that. Look at Hogan all pumped up.
That's the pay-per-view farewell of that championship title.
Really? Okay.
They went. I think they started with what's called the Eagle Wings that wrestled right around the main event.
I love that title. It's my favorite title.
I like this one too. A lot of those 80s title belts were nice.
Look at Bam Bam. When you seen Bam Bam, did you want to get the big tattoo on your head like him?
Considering I was in the first grade at the time, no.
You didn't think it was cool?
I thought it was cool looking,
Yeah,
but
I
I
didn't know
didn't
what you
really
wanted.
have the desire to have needles poked in my head.
Oh, okay.
And funny enough, Hogan and Paul Orndorff just a year before this were in the middle of their record-breaking house show run that they had together. Ken Patera, fresh out of jail,
Is that why he's
breaking
wearing,
a police
is he just wearing a
officer's...
big blue sweatsuit?
Don Morocco replaced superstar Billy Graham on this team as Billy Graham's hip had deteriorated. And Bam Bam, a relative newcomer to the company that unfortunately, the ego went to the head a little bit. And he had a very, very short first run in WWF. Just about a year, I think. But a hell of an athlete for a big man. I remember I babysat his son one weekend when
Really?
he came up for Tony Rumble back in 1996. I believe his name was Anthony. His
There
old
he is.
Patera.
Oh. How old was he?
Oh, 40s.
Oh, I was say, because he looks.
The original Rock.
And we're not talking Dwayne Johnson, baby. Don Morocco getting a nice payoff because of Billy Graham's hip. Poor
Good
Mr.
Paul.
Wonderful.
He had
That
an
was a
incredible physique.
tough time for him. His arm started to deteriorate at this point.
Still had an incredible
Someone who
physique.
sat in
though.
my seat.
Yeah. Paul was gone less than 2 months after this event.
Oh, listen to this crowd explode.
One team member left. Who could it be?
Otis.
No, they didn't have briefcases back then.
Do you think Money in the Bank would have worked back then?
No.
Who the hell would have climbed the ladder? They're all too big.
People didn't want to see things like that. I just, it was...
Listen to that crowd, man. They just go nuts. Like,
They even had the flag. I didn't remember the flag. Look at that.
just look at the
The
crowd.
spirit of
though.
Americana.
There's only one other guy that really got a pop like that ever.
Who?
Stone Cold.
Correct.
Because I remember being in the audience and you feel that place shake. When he won that title at WrestleMania, whew, I remember that was unreal.
But to me, the one that stands out with Austin was the WrestleMania in Dallas when he came out.
Or what about
and the
when...
pop was so loud, it was almost like it went silent.
Oh, you're talking about down... Oh, my God.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm fine to admit, I had tears coming to my, like, because I was just so
I didn't
overly
get that
excited.
excited.
I was so excited. I mean, Stone Cold was my dude. Like, you know what I mean? That was my dude. And I was just so pumped. But you know when, too? When I was in Worcester, when I fully remember when with the pop
That
there.
got a big pop, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But
I remember being in that building.
That was a world title change.
But you know what I'm saying? I remember
Hogan
the
in
pop.
Austin was every night.
Right, but I'm just saying how loud the pop was.
That was...
Oh, my God.
No one expected it.
Yeah.
That was so much fun about it.
You were there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For the opening of WrestleMania in 2014, New Orleans, when Hogan came out, then The Rock, then Stone Cold.
Oh, and he called it the
What
silver
a waste
Dome,
of a
whatever.
segment. Yeah. That was the best they could come up with for the three of them.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
Fun to see, but...
Another cool thing.
1-2, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, or Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold? For, like, biggest, you think?
As far as...
Like, pops and just the whole shebang.
If I was the promoter, Austin. Because Austin made the most money and sold the most merchandise.
Because you know there's always a debate, that's why. Just curious. Yeah. It's crazy, too, to think about it. Because he didn't even have that long of a run in WWE.
Who, Austin?
Yeah.
We talked about that in the Bad Blood watch along
About Worcester?
Yeah, about the...
I love when you...
About
For what?
When you're, like, making fun of
That's what he was talking about, Worcester.
Yeah, but listen...
That's how he said it, Worcester.
Say it.
Boston. But we were talking about the when they were at their peak, how long they were there for, and just
Austin, you'd consider a top guy from late '96 until he was done full time in '93.
Yeah. You mean 2003.
Hogan, yeah. What did I say?
93.
Oh, did I say
he
93?
went back in time.
Yeah.
Like Back to the Future. But yeah, and Hogan was a top guy from the day he returned from the AWA until if he came back tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I find? An interesting factoid about Hulk Hogan.
What's that?
What city did he have both of his final matches in the United States in with the company? When he left in '93 and then when he finally retired in the 2000s from WWF or WWE at that point.
Are you asking like you?
I'm asking the both of you.
Seattle.
I have no idea. I don't even want to guess because I didn't even know.
I'm going to say you were at one of them.
I was at one of them.
You would have had to have been. I'll be shocked if you weren't.
So it'd have to be Boston?
Yeah.
Really?
When he left in '93, his last match in the United States, June 26th of '93, it was Hogan and Beefcake against Money Inc. with Sergeant Slaughter as the guest ref. And then his last match in WWE ever was against Randy Orton at SummerSlam '06.
I was there for that. I had
That's why I said.
Oh my God!
I would have been surprised if you wouldn't have
Oh my God! I didn't know that. I never realized that was his last one.
History, baby.
I was trying to pick
I'm
a
glad
city
you brought that up. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know that was his last. If I just knew that was his last match, then I would have said Boston. I didn't know. I never put 2 and 2 together.
Oh, wait a minute.
Please.
Please is right. Thank you guys.
Oh, jeez. We go. Big main event. Did you lock in your talent yet?
Did I lock it in?
Lock it in.
Oh, to book them.
Yeah.
But we're still in the negotiating process.
Please. Body slam.
Ken Patera's return was very uninspired. There was thought at one point that he could have been Hogan's main event opponent at WrestleMania 4, believe it or not.
I heard he does roofing now.
Ah, well. He may be an expert in the field, but not necessarily doing it.
Oh, boy. Nice drop kick.
Yeah, it's a shame that Paul Orndorff's WWF run came to an end the way it did.
Geez, the amount of people that have passed away in this match.
What do we got? 1. Well, Oliver Humperdinck, 2. 3, Bundy. 4, Rude. 5, Andre. 6, Bobby Heenan, yeah. Who's the referee?
We'll see if the ref is done.
Oh, it's Joey Morelli. Yeah, he's dead too, so you can throw him in.
Oh, really?
That was Gorilla Monsoon's son.
Oh, good. I just came back just in time.
You missed a little Ken Patera action.
Oh.
Now, how would you have felt at this point if WrestleMania 4 had turned into Hogan and Patera?
I don't think
which was a possibility at one point. How
I
do you
don't
think
I would have enjoyed.
How do you think history would be if we look back at that night in Atlantic City, New Jersey? Instead of Macho Man parading with Elizabeth, it was the Hulkster and Patera.
That WrestleMania would have been very, very bad. I mean, I don't think it would have ever been memorable.
Well, Patera sucked on this run, but he was coming out of jail. In his earlier times, I know in the early 80s, he was a great heel. Look at Andre doesn't even want Patera. Disgusted almost.
Bundy does, though. Look at him. You like Bundy?
You loved Bundy.
Yeah. Did you love the big blue cage between him and Hogan?
I didn't like the cage all that much.
You didn't like that cage back in the day? No.
Nah.
I thought it was cool looking.
It was cool looking as a kid, but compared to what the other promotions used, the other ones looked more dangerous.
It was just so easy. It was so easy to climb for them, though, too. Remember?
That's why for the big guys, yeah.
And every time someone would climb it.
The last time it was really used was Triple H, Mick Foley, or Mankind, whichever one you say. Was that the last time? Because that's the last.
The
time
last one I remember off the top of my head. Oh, no, didn't they do it with Vince and Austin?
Oh, at St. Valentine's Massacre, they used the black
Austin
one.
could hold on to it.
The black one, the door opened. Yeah, of
through
course I remember that. But that was the black one. I just remember the big blue one.
Well, the same style cage then. All right.
Because Paul White came up from, the giant Big Show came up from the ring. I remember that. Oh my God, I was so friggin' happy as a kid. Oh, I love that. St. Valentine's Day
What
Massacre.
was his first name?
Who?
Big Show.
Paul White.
No.
Oh, the Giant.
No, in WWE. I think it was the Big Nasty. And they used it for about a week before they changed it to Big Show.
Wasn't it Paul White?
They might have said Paul White.
I remember when he first came from underneath the ring.
But the next night when they introduced him on Raw, I think they called him the Big Nasty.
Oh, maybe.
And if they used it for more than 2 weeks, I'd be surprised.
Who was his manager, Annie?
Well.
I don't know what. I see. I don't understand these references.
Annie was a ring rat in Boston.
Okay. Yeah. See.
She got the nasty, or did the nasty.
She sure did.
Okay. See, I don't know nothing about that.
She had another talented tongue.
Look at Don Morocco, man. Wow.
Don Morocco got so jacked when they turned him babyface. Too big. He wasn't as good as he was when they turned him babyface because he wanted to be just absolutely enormous. He had veins coming out of his veins.
He makes Hulk Hogan look small.
I love Don Morocco as a heel.
But the thing with Hogan is Hogan was never vascular. What I mean, like ripped up. He was just a thick guy.
He's just huge. Yeah. Look at poor Kenny Patera. Oh.
Look at One Man Gang.
He thought he was going to come back to a big push, and he got a push out the door about a year after this. He was done at Survivor Series 88.
Who are we talking about?
Ken Patera.
Oh, okay. Were you a fan of One Man Gang?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think Kenny needs his roof done?
Maybe.
Well, I know his alter ego did.
Which one are we talking about? Quincy's?
Patera Rastani.
Yeah. Subscription service, remember?
Oh, you remember I was telling him about some of those last night.
This guy, when we're on our long rides, he'll tell me stories. I can't even drive them.
Did I tell you about, I was telling him last night about when I was sending people that were doing roofing estimates to their house and knocking on the door,
tell me this. No.
asking for Patera Rastani.
Oh my God!
Quincy went insane.
Oh
boy!
What
the people at home, He said, oh no, we don't have a patera here. And Quincy's in a
Didn't you do the magazine thing?
Oh. Yeah, I was telling him about the mail, yeah. When Quincy went down with boxes of it to the post office, screaming at them that it had to stop because it was flooding their mailbox.
Give him a little Creed.
Oh, man.
Well, at least Ken Patera's name has lived on with some value here at the studio. It's a shame that his return was so underwhelming. There were a lot of people I remember that were excited that Patera was coming back when he got out of jail.
What was wrong with his elbow back then?
It was just a random injury.
Okay,
it wasn't anything big, no. He came back a big angle. Oh, Jesus. Big angle they did.
Jesus.
Big angle they did with him right after WrestleMania 3. He broke Bobby Heenan's neck on TV. Ooh. And I mean, that got over. No, not for real.
No, I know.
But I mean, that got over huge.
Really?
So his gimmick was he was feuding with the entire Heenan family. And I guess there was talk at one point they were going to reunite and he was going to work Hogan at WrestleMania 4.
Oh, wow.
Which would have been.
No good.
Not that Ken. I think maybe once they saw the Ken Patera they were getting back in '87, they realized not such a good idea.
Boot. I wonder what Bam Bam thought when he was working side by side with Hulk Hogan, like, you know, being so young, like you said, his first, you know?
Yeah, it went to his head. That was the problem.
You think, yeah?
You know, we talked about that.
Oh, what a bump by Bam Bam. Whew.
We talked about the big main event in February of '88 with Hogan and Andre that did the 33 million people.
Right.
Well, and the next day, the Saturday, the matinee was in Boston, sold out.
You go?
Yep. That night, it was sold out in Philadelphia. It was Hogan and Bam Bam against Andre and DiBiase.
Oh, my God.
So, again, you're talking 35,000 people in two cities.
I wish they would show those. I wish you could find those, like, you know.
I bet you
I would love
I don't
to
know
see
about
that.
the Philadelphia one, but I bet you the Boston one's on YouTube.
I got to find it, because I would love to see that. Like, just see Hogan and Bam, you know what I mean? I think that'd be cool. Them as a team. I think that's fun.
I mean, that was one of the biggest angles in wrestling history when they did the evil twin referees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know that.
That building was on fire the next day. It wasn't even the next night. It was 12 hours later. It was an afternoon show.
You could never, and the thing about it, too, is I don't think you could ever get those numbers ever again. Like you said, 33 million.
I don't think you'll ever get 33 million people,
but
just
could you
based
even get
upon
like it was
the way.
when it was 7 or 8? Like, that's the thing, is there's such a different time back then.
I'd like to see what WrestleMania would do on TV. If WrestleMania ever turned into like the Super Bowl.
You think they would ever do it?
Fox paid big money to WWE for the broadcast rights to WrestleMania. I'd love to see what WrestleMania would do on TV nowadays.
If anything, this would be the time to do it.
Guess a number, what would it be?
Probably 20, 30. I would think so. Free?
Million people?
Yeah.
In 2020?
You don't think so?
No.
I think free TV, I think a lot more people would tune in, like all the casual fans,
Technically,
too.
they could get it for free on the network when they do the giveaways.
Yeah, but that's too much work. If you just have to turn on a channel, because a lot of people get blown. Like I know friends that don't want to sign for the network because they're afraid their credit card's gonna have to
charge forever. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's why they won't sign up for it. But I think if all they had to do was turn on a channel, Fox 13, whatever channel it is on, your cable.
If WrestleMania was live on Fox, I'd be shocked in this day and age if it would do more than 6 million people.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're totally right. Maybe I'm just thinking too much, but I'm just thinking even the casual
when it was hot. If you're talking 99, 2000, okay.
No, see, I was just talking.
What kind of WrestleMania are we talking about? The 7-hour one that they usually do?
You couldn't do that on TV. It'd have to be
or
like
would
a
it
3.
be like a 4-hour one?
Probably
whatever. I'm just saying, if WrestleMania was on broadcast TV, where you didn't even need cable, let's just say it was on the Fox network, which all you needed was a TV and electricity, how many people would watch?
Right now would be the time to do it too. Because with COVID going on and people
I'd say 6,
home,
maybe 7, but nowhere near 10. Never mind 20.
I think right now would be the time to do it if they were to, because of what's going on. People are home all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm. You know what? If there was a TV channel that ponied up the money, I bet they'd do it.
You think so, Vince? Would let it? Yeah.
I mean, think of the money they'd have to pony up, though.
Oh yeah, we have to be like, well, how much money would it be? Like, what do you think? Because I don't know any numbers. Would it be like Saudi Arabia money like that?
More.
More.
Well, you know, let me think. You put me on the spot here.
I'm just curious. I don't know.
I'm kind of interested now, but I'm just trying to.
But they'd make a lot of money back in commercials.
Well, Fox would.
That's
Fox
why I
would.
said Fox.
Okay.
They would make
I
their
see
money
what you
back.
mean.
WWE doesn't have to make money back on anything because they're the ones getting paid for it all. But Fox would make a lot of money back on, and it would help them if it does go to Fox.
And think about the sponsors you would get being on regular television
That, and they'd be able to push SmackDown on Friday nights hard.
too. Yep. And they'd have to say Raw too. Raw would have to be.
You know
powered.
what? Honestly, I bet you they could get it. A TV channel could get it for less than Saudi money.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the value of the video broadcast of it, whether you're talking pay-per-view, network.
Ooh.
If they're
Bam Bam
getting,
took a hard
I
one
bet
there.
you could get it for less than 40 million, which is what they've been getting for the Saudi shows.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fox would pony it up sometime, just because.
It'd be really interesting to see WrestleMania on free TV.
Oh, I would love it.
I wouldn't want any commercials during the matches, though, during WrestleMania.
No, they
Only in
couldn't, yeah.
between.
And I think they'd probably work that out so it wouldn't, because it'd just be too hot. Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see wrestling turn like that.
And I think people like us, or longtime fans, would be so disappointed with the number of people that would watch.
Yeah, that's why I was saying so much, because I would think if they promote it right, you'd get some casual fans. All right, it's free right now? Yeah, I will watch it. That's the only reason why I said my number was so high, because I just feel like if it was promoted right and fans that were casual that don't watch anymore, oh, wow, WrestleMania? Free? I don't have to pay nothing?
It gives them a lot more incentive to do better.
Yeah.
To plan for the show, make sure it's actually good and not just pointless bullshit.
And sometimes it's not even that it's good, it's about the competitors being good too, like, you know, that can relate to the fans, you know what I'm saying? Like the casual fans.
Bundy and Bam Bam were on the house show loop for a long, long time in late 87. I believe
dudes.
Boston had that. Was it December of 87 we got Bundy and Bam Bam underneath a Savage and Honky main event?
Buddies. Wow.
For the Boston fans out there, I imagine fans outside of Boston have no interest in hearing anything about that, but I do know the Boston Garden house shows.
Jesus.
The Hulkster's desperate for the tag.
And Bam Bam has lost his flames.
He could sell for a big guy, that's for sure.
It's weird to see this many big guys in a match. You look today, it's
They don't even have that many in the promotion.
yeah. One looks menacing. There's a bunch of guys in this match you could put in today's wrestling. It'd probably kill everybody though. Because who would you put them up against?
Bam would be cool.
That's what I was just going to say. Bam Bam, I think, would be great in today's environment. I think the others might be a little too slow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even so, whoa, take it easy. Even though, who do you put them against? That's the thing. You're going to have them work Braun Strowman every time?
Oh, Bam Bam.
Oh, no, Bam Bam, yes. But Andre and Gang and Bundy, I mean, there's not many people you could have them work believable feuds with.
So I don't think you realize how huge this moment was right now. How bad the people wanted to see this WrestleMania rematch between these two. Even though the WrestleMania 3 match certainly wasn't great by any standards, just the atmosphere and the ambiance, and just the couple of spots, that standoff when they stood face to face, Hogan going up for the slam the first time and Andre fell on him. When he finally did slam him and hit the leg drop. I mean, just those 3 moments from that one match will live on forever.
It's always shown in any package.
Yeah.
That's like, you know.
I think it's the
Absolutely.
first scene in the you know, the then, now, and forever montage that WWE plays at the beginning of every TV show.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, the match on NBC the following February was so much bigger than WrestleMania 3 because so many more people saw it, you know?
Yeah.
You had a very limited pay-per-view audience in 1987, or you had to go to do closed circuit, where you'd have to go to an arena like the Boston Garden and pay $10 to watch it on a movie theater screen.
What, Hogan was counted out?
He was counted out.
Oh.
Stick a fork in the Hulk stuff.
Look at Hogan's hair. Looks like he... Oof.
It's not looking good for Bam Bam Bigelow at this point,
I
folks.
think this one's pretty much,
He's going to need some words of encouragement from
you know what he might need?
a little boost of oxygen.
Yes.
You know what? Thank you. Oh, available at fine retailers everywhere. BoostOxygen.com certainly is going to make me feel even 10 times the man I would be headed into Thanksgiving and Black Friday shopping, thanks to our good friends over at Boost Oxygen and my longtime close personal friend, Mr. Wonderful. And I'm not talking about Paul Orndorff.
No. Even more wonderful.
Now look at this. Is Andre being a little premature, acting like they've already won, even though it's 3-on-1?
Against an already beat up pretty bad Bam Bam.
Can Sir Oliver Humperdinck motivate Bam Bam?
Did you like him?
Humperdinck?
Yeah.
Oh, he was so miscast as a babyface?
Yeah.
He was a great heel manager.
So you don't think he was good with Bam Bam?
No.
No.
But they didn't need any more heel managers at that point. They had, I mean, just look at how many there have been on this show.
Did you see the ref? He never put his hand down on either one. That was weird. I just thought that was so...
I think it was the camera angle.
No, but you could see his hand never go down on the mat when he did those. That was weird to me.
And this was pretty much the end of Bundy, too. He was gone in early 88. I think he had a Saturday night's main event against Hogan in early 80. I know he had one in late 87, then early 88. And then Bundy was about done, which was another one of the great superstars of that 80s boom.
In his age?
He was young. He was a lot younger than you'd think. He was, I think, only in his early 60s when he died.
So he had to been in his...
So he looked kind of old, too, yeah.
Oh, look at that one.
I liked that finish when he started using that.
One-man gang trying to finish him off.
Is the gang going to finish him off? That's the question. I wonder how many other people, as we record this watch-along live, are watching Survivor Series 87. Do you think we're the only people on WWE Network right now watching this?
Probably.
Hopefully during our watch-along, there'll be many people watching on WWE Network with us. But as we tape this on October 25th, do you think anyone else is watching?
I bet you more of it's Hell in the Cell, like old Hell in the Cells. But who knows? Maybe somebody.
Maybe. Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Can Oliver Humperdinck motivate Bam Bam to rally and come away with the big win? I don't know what the gang is trying to do to him at this point, but...
Wear him down. Jesus.
Future WrestleMania main eventer, and even then, he would be gone less than a year before he main evented WrestleMania in 1995. Another odd fact. Odd fact. In your home state of Connecticut.
Southwestern.
Well, that's not where WrestleMania was, please.
Northern.
Hartford.
The very first one I went to.
Did you enjoy that main event?
No.
I know.
That whole show was kind of a dud.
So was Hartford, Connecticut.
Actually, I like going to shows in Hartford. It's closer to us than it was with Bridgeport, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
That's why I liked going to Hartford.
I just, your first WrestleMania, you're so excited, and then the show was just so, ugh. That had Bam Bam and LT, Michaels and Diesel, Undertaker and Bundy, Backlund and Bret Hart, and I think it was an I Quitter, a submission match with Piper as the ref. It just, it lacked. Owen and a mystery partner against the Smoking Guns. But that was 8 years after this tremendous night.
And beautiful Hartford, Connecticut.
Look at that. Big right from Andre.
Nice way to sell it, though.
I still wouldn't want to take it, but...
No.
Oh, wait, right?
Oh.
If I remember right, Andre wasn't a big fan of Bam Bam from the house show run that they wound up having when they do the tag team matches.
Look at him just doing the rolls.
Andre can't even get the arms up. So it was like the end of Roman and the Undertaker.
Yeah, bad. Look at this, just these big shoulders into the back of him.
It's all he needs when you're that size.
What's crazy is Bam Bam was small to Andre.
What a finish we have coming up.
Oh.
Stick a fork in Bam Bam. Andre is the sole survivor here. It's Survivor Series 87. But Hulk, he can't let this
Hogan
stand.
Must pose, right?
Look at Andre Sell.
Andre must bump.
Let's see, Hogan
After
has to go.
that devastating finisher on...
Imagine if that happened today. Oh.
Could you... Yeah, I know.
Oh,
How disrespectful the fans would be.
Oh, my God.
Oh, look, the fans are still cheering. Imagine if that happened today. Boo, boo.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, these guys have the benefit of even maybe a lot of this not being the greatest stuff you've ever seen. They were all over. They were all superstars.
Yeah.
They were in the
They could have stood in the ring and just looked at each other for a half hour.
Can you imagine that? I mean, and I don't want to insult poor Andre the Giant, but that finishing move was so... I don't even know what you'd call that, what he did to Bam Bam. Could you imagine a top guy trying to get away with that in WWE in
Andre's
2020?
on the set right now.
Oh, what do you mean? The little pop thing or whatever that's called?
Yeah. There's Andre.
Or pop, as you call it, yeah. But Andre was the sole survivor right there. Another MWF alumnus, Tony Gurria.
He's telling him, let's go, let's go.
But you know what? That was the right finish. It led to, when they wanted to kill the Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view in the NWA, what was pushed more than the Royal Rumble match itself was the contract signing between Andre and Hogan on USA Network for the main event match on NBC. So there was a rhyme and reason to everything that was done.
It's just crazy to me because Andre won, but who's posing? It's just so nuts, you know what I mean?
That would happen a lot at the house shows.
Yeah, but I'm talking about on WWE pay-per-view now, you would never see this. You'd always see the winner, whoever the winner is.
Well, okay, nowadays, yeah.
But this is what fans always wanted, so they had to do it. Oh, my God.
And no one would leave. What usually happens, Little Cena, when we attend something and we hear the final bell?
We run out.
Who sets speed records for life?
Oh, you. Oh, my God. WrestleMania, what was it, New Orleans? We were the first ones out of the building, and there's like 70,000 people there.
I was practically crushing children to try and get out of the building.
Let's go.
When I have enough, I have enough. But look at how many people are trying to get up and leave now. None.
Nobody.
And I was that way back then. My father was, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
But...
14. My father took me. Sure enough, when Stone Cold went, I didn't want to leave. Are you kidding me? My father was like, let's go. I'm like, no. I had to beg to stay to watch the whole thing. Because right when the bell rang, he was out of here. But the parents don't understand it.
Well,
You weren't brought up with it.
Fans, I hope you enjoyed this watch along. We're going to try and do a themed watch along with every pay-per-view. I know the next one is TLC. Mr. Sacco suggested maybe reviewing the first TLC in 2009. It was actually a pretty good lineup when he ran it past me. For the Royal Rumble, we've even talked about doing 2 Royal Rumble watch-alongs and airing them throughout the weekend, but that remains to be seen. But we hope you had fun with us here on the watch-along. Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive is kicking off. We really need you to help us hulk up to help these kids and to update Santa Claus's GPS. Tony Atlas has already been in the studio live. Marty Jannetty has already been in the studio live. There have been graphics about all the other WWE, WWF legends and stars that are coming to the studio for shoot interviews and cyber autographs and maybe a few even in-person autographs. It's a great way to do great good. eBay, the store is open 24/7. Head on over to eBay. With every purchase comes an on-air thank you on this show from WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas, which you can watch again and again forever. We have the great T-shirt bundle going on right now at bostonwrestling.com/t-shirts. .html, where for the same price as a WWE Shop regular shirt, you get not only the shirt, but a WWE cup, a mystery autograph photo, and again, that thank you on air from Tony Atlas, because we sincerely mean it when we say thank you. If we don't have you guys, we don't have this show. It's the reality of it. So hopefully this year we're going to sell a lot of autographs, we're going to sell a lot of merchandise, we're going to do a lot of good, because we'd be very thankful to do everything we can to keep that man's name alive as Survivor Series 87 comes to a close. I don't know, Andre looks like he took a quick shower. I don't know.
Look at Hogan posing. He's going crazy. It's giving the crowd what they want, though.
They did.
Look at him. That guy's left. Everybody. Literally, no one has left. Everybody's just unbelievable.
You know what? I think I may have just corrected myself again. Might have been 1988, but it could possibly have been 87. The first time WWF ran Charlotte for a house show to try and counteract, obviously, the hub of the MWA and Jim Crockett, they did Hogan and Andre on a house show. I don't remember if it was 87 or 88, though. But I don't think Andre did a half dozen matches. All right, you guys do the take it home as I do the camera take it home.
Yeah. Survivor Series
The big
1987.
recap show.
Survivor Series 1987. What do you think? Because you weren't even thought of yet.
Much better than anything.
Better than what you've seen lately?
By far.
Is this the traditional way you would like to see a Survivor Series from back then?
Yeah. I'm more of an older guy than it is now. I don't think it's that good now. I think everything from the 80s and 90s is much better than what's been going on lately. But as I always say, what are you going to do? What did you think of Survivor Series 1987?
Oh, I love it. I love Dan's insight and all, because I was just 2 years old, so I didn't even really get to see it when that was going on, really. But the insight of it, just watching how it was back then to now, just comparing the two, I think it's fun, and it's definitely a good learning tool for us.
I like when they do the little recaps, the little pictures at the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at him over there, Hulk Hogan Jr.
Oh, he's posing.
Don't hurt yourself with the wires over there.
And you know what the best thing is how simple it was back then. Like, there wasn't no pyro, there was nothing. It was just fans going crazy and cheering.
It wasn't as much of a spectacle.
Exactly. It was a spectacle with just the wrestlers itself.
Which it should be.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as you guys have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow with Marty Jannetty. We will see you later. I'm Matt Degnan.
I'm Dave Carter.
You and yours, be well.
Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest explodes into Christmas with interactive cyber autograph signings, live interviews, raffles, merchandise, and more. We were excited to bring you a wrestling event here in Boston, but we have the ability to bring a Cyber Fanfest to great fans like you around the world. Recent WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Leo Rush kicked off the drive with autograph photos and posters still for sale online. Let's run down the list of remaining cyber autograph signings where you can get an autograph photo for yourself or to give to a friend or a loved one this holiday. Mail order for your items is also available. On Survivor Series Sunday, November the 22nd, Marty Jannetty will be with us live for a cyber autograph signing during the Farewell to the Undertaker. You never know what to expect with Marty in studio live. We're back Friday, December the 4th with the veteran former Nation of Domination member Savio Vega, a.k.a. Quang, making a rare appearance in Boston. Things are going to get nasty on Saturday, December the 5th when Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys, join us for the very first time. A great chance to get the former WWE and WCW Tag Team Champions signed. Sunday night, December the 6th, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas returns for a Cyber Christmas party during our NXT Takeover Watch Along. Tony will be signing autographs and will also have his art available for purchase. The following Friday, December the 11th, one of the most powerful superstars in wrestling history, the Warlord, joins us live in studio discussing his WWF run beginning in 1988. Saturday, December the 12th, the superstar undefeated for 2 years in the WWF, Native American Tatanka, will be with us supporting the toy drive. Then on Sunday, December the 13th, it's a double feature of future star superstars as recent Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament competitor Wheeler Yuta joins us in studio for the first time after competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF, along with the man visiting us for the first time in 8 years, the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann. And it wouldn't be Christmas without old John Cena Sr. with us live and in person as he's been working the phones on the North Pole. Again, autographs and all-inclusive VIP packages are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. Help our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home this year while creating smiles and honoring the late, great Paul Bearer's memory. From our family to yours, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.